They knew that before anything. Before Robin really finds out that she's pregnant. Barney and Robin discussed their relationship and the feelings they have for each other. Up until this moment they hadn't really talked. Then when Robin told him that she is pregnant, he surprisingly took the news really well. Better than she thought he would when she first took those 5 pregnancy tests earlier that day. The truth is, she doesn't need a doctor to tell her that she is pregnant. She already thought that she is, she felt it, it wasn't something she doesn't take seriously. That night, when they were together, they didn't use a condom, they were just really too into the heat of the moment. They just wanted to get each other naked as fast as possible. They didn't even realize that they didn't use it. That night was so crazy that neither were thinking about anything other than each other, and condoms weren't ever on either mind as she laid on Barney's bed after he admirably looked down at her with a smile that he hasn't had in a long time. He was finally with Robin. After all this time all he was thinking was how beautiful she looked as she looked into his eyes right before he entered her. So, the thought of a condom didn't fathom them. That night was such a blur that neither knew what the consequences were until the following morning when they were done having sex. That morning was so confusing. It was like that first time, that very morning after they had sex for the first time. Awkward, weird, confusing and complicated, but then they weren't in relationships with other people. But now they are, and it's even more confusing and complicated. But being with each other again after all that time apart, and Robin pining all added up to them in bed together the next morning. That's what that night was about. There were still feelings on both sides, and both felt that day in the rain, the day they shared that dance at Punch's wedding, and in that moment hours earlier in the back of the cab. Kissing each other again felt right. To the both of them, in that moment it didn't feel like cheating, it felt like they were cheating themselves out of being together, and the passion was the feeling they felt in that kiss. But in the morning and the next day it was all confusing, especially for Robin. But even though she chose to stay with Kevin, someone she didn't love, she knew she still loved Barney, and even if she shook her head no at him, her heart was saying yes. Because there's no doubt at all that her heart is with him and would always be with him. And so when they sat together in the waiting area for Robin to see the doctor, they talked briefly about their relationship and feelings. So, I know this is sudden and too soon to talk about this, but I'm in love with you, Robin, and even if you don't feel the same way, I want to be with you. Whatever happens. If you are pregnant, then we'll deal with it together, but I am serious. I love you and want to be with you, baby or no baby. At that moment Robin's name was called, and the conversation had to be put on hold, at least for a couple of hours, until she knows for sure that she is pregnant. But as she gets up, she allows herself to ponder what he just told her. He told her what she wanted to hear that night on the boat. And she does feel the same way, but right now they needed to get this appointment over with to see if she is pregnant, then they can talk. The fact is, she hasn't been happy. She is just not in love with Kevin and hadn't even slept with him once since being together, because she doesn't feel physically attracted to him or sexually attracted to him. And the other fact is, she really isn't in love with him. She's grateful that he helped her distract her own mind from her feelings for Barney, but she realized after she took those pregnancy tests, that her heart is just not in this relationship. She just doesn't love him the way he should be loved, and that's the problems she's always had with her relationships with men. But in the past 3 years those relationships seemed to drag her life down, and they never made her as happy as she was that summer her and Barney were together. Her happiest time was that time, and as much as she didn't want to. She loves him, she's in love with him. She is in love with Barney, and when she gets to the exam room and they are sitting in private waiting for the doctor, she tells him this exact thing that she had been thinking about on her walk to the room. As I said, I do want to talk about this more later, but I do love you, Barney. I am in love with you and have been since we broke up. I slept with you because of how strong I feel for you, so I do want to be with you. Baby or no baby. I love you and want to be with you. As she says this, he looks at her and smiles brightly, because the woman he's loved for years, who he believed didn't love him, just told him she loves him too. That meant the world to him. Hello, Ms. Sherbatsky. The doctor says, entering the room in that moment. As the exam went on and Robin took another pregnancy test and a blood test just to make sure. Robin sits with Barney and waits for the results. They weren't sure what was going to happen with the results, however they did know that they are in love and want to be together. In these minutes as they wait, they both thought that even if everything has been weird between them since they slept together, they know they didn't regret that night at all, and both realize now that that night brought them back to each other even if it was a little unconventional. Okay. Miss Sherbatsky, I have your results to the tests I took. The doctor comes back in the room with a folder in her hand. Barney suddenly takes Robin's hand and holds it gently in his, while they wait for the doctor to announce whether she's pregnant or not. Well, it looks like you are indeed pregnant. Congratulations. And, in that moment Barney squeezed Robin's hand, not too hard but hard enough for her to respond, squeezing his hand in return, letting him know that they are in this together now that they know for sure that they are going to have a baby together. I would like for you to make a follow-up appointment. For 2 weeks, then we can see how the baby is doing and figure out your due date. Robin nods along and Barney listens as they are quiet and deep in thought about what to do next. Okay, I will do that. Robin says. The doctor leaves the room a minute later after she says her goodbyes, leaving Barney and Robin by themselves again. So, this is going to change everything. She was quiet, not saying anything as she puts on her pants and shirt. Now, everything's going to change for them and they are going to need to seriously talk about this life-changing situation. They need to figure out what to do next after finding out she is pregnant. They are going to have a baby and there's a lot of things that needs to be talked about and figured out between them. But, for now Robin leaves the exam room and goes to make another appointment, and they go back to Barney's apartment after this to discuss everything, from their relationship, to the baby, and most importantly her relationship with Kevin that will no doubt be ending soon. They get back to his apartment after 20 minutes of not talking much in the cab ride between the doctor's office to his apartment. They were quiet until they entered the apartment, with Barney breaking the quietness after they are finally alone and can talk. Really talk about everything that has happened lately. So, now that we're here we should talk. He says, putting his coat on the coat rack by the door, then walks over to the couch where Robin had just sat down, still not talking after she put her purse down on the coffee table but her coat was still on. Yeah, I think we do. She says, matter-of-factly, now looking at him. What are we going to do now that we know for sure that you're pregnant? He asks, starting this conversation off for the both of them because he knows one of them should and also knows that she won't say anything until he talks first. I want to be with you, Barney. What I said earlier, it's true, I am in love with you and have been for a while now. So, what do you want? The fact that she wants to be with him makes his whole life complete. However, they still have one other issue they need to talk about, and it's a very sensitive subject that hasn't been talked about yet. I want to be with you too, but you're with Kevin. We can't be together until you finally give this nice guy the boot. He's clearly angry with her, probably because she chose to stay with Kevin when she said herself that she is in love with Barney, so it's odd and a real disappointment to him that she stayed this long with him when she doesn't love Kevin and admitted that she loves Barney and has for a long while now. Them sleeping together wasn't just a fling, it was real, it was passionate, amazing lovemaking, which is something he doesn't like to say or think, but they made love and that does make things slightly better. He feels better about what she said to him today. She loves him and not Kevin. She wants to be with him, and even if she wasn't having his baby she still wants to break up with Kevin. I know, and I will break up with him, but for now. I want this, I want to be with you, be a family with you and our child. I was being honest when I told you had feelings for you this whole time. I love you and I was wrong in staying with Kevin when I should have been with you. We should have been together this whole time. Because I was feeling like I was cheating on you. What? He's shocked at that last thing she said. She feels like she cheated on him and not Kevin. That's a weird but interesting feelings to know about right now after all this time. I felt like the night we slept together I was cheating on Kevin, but really, I was cheating on you by staying with him and not following my heart like I should have done. I wanted to be with you, but I was scared. She looks away from him almost in tears because this is the first time she ever told him this and her real feelings about the situation they are in right now. Scared? He asks, raising an eyebrow, wondering why she made that decision in staying with Kevin when she loved him and admitted that she wasn't in love with Kevin. I was scared that you didn't feel the same way as I did, and from what you told me that night on the boat I thought you didn't love me. When you told me I was messed up like you are, it had me thinking, and then later that night when I was with Kevin, he told me he loved me and kept saying such lovely things, things I wanted desperately to hear from you. But, you didn't tell me those kind, sweet things. You said I was a mess, just messed up like you, and it confused me and made me think the only reason you slept with me is because it was an in-the-moment type moment. I didn't know how you felt, so I stayed with Kevin while still being in love with you. She's crying now, after everything that's been going on lately, and even just today her emotions got the better of her, and this conversation is easily breaking down the walls she's had up for 3 years. He understands her reason why she made that decision she made, even if it's one he still doesn't quite understand. He gets that she was scared. He was scared like she is now when he first fell in love with her, when his feelings had suddenly crept up on him after his bus accident. He gets that being scared to act and say what you're feeling is, so he'll forgive her so they can move on and be a family together. Because if this continues to hang over their heads, they won't get anywhere, and it will continue to start to eat away at them and cause unnecessary feelings they don't want to have anymore. They want to put this behind them and move on so they can discuss what's next, which would be talking about the baby and her pregnancy. Okay, I get that. It's not easy for me to express how much I love you and my feelings for you. I've always been scared that you would never feel the way I do about you, and so when I told you that stuff on the boat, I really meant that I love you for who you are. Every single part of who you are, even the worst parts. Not that I'm saying you being messed up is your worst trait, it just means we are the same in that sense. We are both messed up, but throughout relationship, I've never been more honest and truthful in my life about the way I love you and my feelings for you. They haven't changed, they haven't gone away, they haven't stopped at all since we broke up, because Robin Scherbatsky, I love you for just the person you are, no matter how crazy, how messy or how bad we are at relationships, and particularly our first relationship. But, I love you because you are the only woman who I know understands me better than anyone, and by saying that stuff on the boat I meant that I take you as you are. I love you as you are, and I've never stopped or could stop loving you more than anything or anyone. She's sobbing at his speech. That was so beautiful. That is what she wanted to hear so badly from him on that night on the boat, and in a way he did say that. In the years she's known him, he's always said such lovely things about her, and she didn't believe them. But after all these years she finally realizes that he has loved her this whole time by just being herself, and that's more powerful and real than any words Kevin or any other guy had said to her. That was beautiful, she says, sobbing into his arms. After all this time and all these emotions, they finally almost found the closure they needed from that situation. And now they can move on and forward to the next step in their relationship. So, what are we going to do about the baby and your pregnancy? He asks. She had cried her eyes out in the last few minutes, but after a while she calmed down enough to discuss other things they need to talk about. I'm going to have it. That wasn't an option. Having this baby and being with you, they are the only things I want right now. But this pregnancy might be difficult. We'll know more when we go to my next appointment, she says, breaking the embrace they were in to sit up on the couch. Okay. And what about Kevin? You are still with him? Right, Kevin, she needs to break up with him. That's the last big thing she needs to do in order to really move on with Barney and their baby. I need to break up with him. I can do it later, but right now I don't want to think about that. I just want to eat something. I'm starving and haven't eaten since breakfast. He smiles and gets up from the couch while she remains sitting. All right, do you want Chinese? She nods and gets the menu to call for delivery. In the next hour they sit, talk, watch TV and wait for the food to come, but then they eat and relax for another couple of hours before she goes back to her apartment to break up with him like she should have done weeks ago. Robin had left Barney's and went straight home. She was trying to figure out a way to break this news to her current boyfriend. How was telling him that she's pregnant, not just pregnant but pregnant with another man's child who is also the guy she wants to be with and loves. This was going to be really hard. She feels sick. On the ride back to her apartment, Robin thought and thought about how to tell Kevin that she was breaking up with him, which is something she wanted to do since that night on the boat. She can't just drag this out and not tell him. He needs to know, and she needs to just get it over with so she can move on with her child and the man she really loves. Luckily, when she arrives home, Kevin was still at work, so it gave her some more time to think about what she's going to say to him. She wanted to tell him everything, from sleeping with Barney and having feelings for him, which he knew already through their therapy sessions, that she is pregnant with his child and that she wants to be with him and that she's in love with him. She drops her keys and her bag on the table by the front door and takes her coat off. She's too lazy to hang it up, so she just lays it down on the arm of the chair in the living room. She then goes to lie on the couch, sighing, trying to find the right words to say. When someone knocks on the door, she gets up to answer, hoping it was Kevin. But it wasn't. "Barney, what are you doing here?" He knows she wanted to do this by herself and he's letting her do that. He's just a bit worried that she might chicken out again and stay with him when he begs her or tells her some shit about his love for her, convincing her to stay with him. I just wanted to see how you were doing." He tells her, of course it was a lie. He wasn't going to tell her the real reason why he's suddenly here at her apartment staring at her. "I'm fine, Barney, just waiting for Kevin to come from work." She tells him, letting him in the apartment and closing the door. "Sorry, I came by unannounced, I just..." He doesn't want to say anything to upset her, so he doesn't, but she notices his face turn pale and he's not even looking at her now, which gets her to say the next thing she says. "You're full of it. You didn't just come all the way here to see how I was doing. You came here to make sure I tell Kevin." Damn, she knows him too well, which is sometimes a good thing and sometimes a bad thing, and in this moment it was a bad thing because she's mad and he sees that she's mad at him. "Look, I'm sorry, the last time you were supposed to break up with him you didn't. I love you and am worried you're not going to follow through with this just like before." This only got her more mad. "Barney, are you kidding me right now?" she yells, her voice getting much louder than it was 2 minutes ago. "No, I'm no okay. I know you said you were going to break it off with him, but I can't help but think you're going to chicken out and not go through with it." Barney knows that coming here was bad idea. He wasn't going to come but did anyway and knows she's mad at him, which isn't what he wanted to do. "Look, I am going to break up with him. I am just trying to find the right words to say. I do want to be with you, be a family with you like we talked about. I'm waiting for him to come by. He is still at work. Now, please leave so I can do my part and talk to him alone like I planned to." Robin starts to calm down because she doesn't want to become more angry with him or cause something to happen with the baby, especially this early in the pregnancy. "Okay, I am sorry for upsetting you. I didn't mean to. I didn't even want to say anything at first. I really am sorry," he tells her before going over to the door. Robin walks over to him and gives him a quick kiss on the cheek, telling him that everything will go as planned and she will break up with Kevin so they can be together. When Barney's at the door, he opens it to come face to face with Kevin, who was just about to knock on the door. "Oh, hello Kevin," Barney says, brushing past him and saying goodbye to Robin. Barney leaves and Robin lets Kevin into her apartment, closing the door after giving Barney one last look. This is going to be quick and hopefully painless, mostly for her. She gets why Barney came here, and understands his concerns. Obviously he's still upset about what happened the last time she was supposed to break up with Kevin. She knows Barney is right. She's also terrible with breakups and feels nauseous as she sits on the couch. She feels sick, like at any time she will faint, so luckily she's sitting down for this. She asks Kevin to sit down on the couch so she can tell him what needs to have happened a month ago. "Look, Kevin, there's something I need to tell you. Something I should have done a while ago that I didn't, which makes me regret the choices I've made recently." She's shaking, feels sick to her stomach and looks like she's about to pass out. She wants this to be over with so she can officially move on, and so can Kevin. "I should have done this a while ago, so here it is." She pauses, looking down at her shaky, sweaty hands. She's so nervous and wants to just get this over with, cause it needs to be over with months ago. "I'm pregnant." She was going to tell him everything but decided that it's not necessary to say anything more than this because it's true and it's important that he doesn't know the rest of what happened between her and Barney. Kevin is quiet. She's unsure about what his reaction will be. She had thought about it for hours, but she wasn't expecting him to not say anything. "Oh." Kevin finally spoke after a few minutes of quietness. Robin's concerned when he was quiet, but the look on his face says something she wasn't expecting. "You're pregnant?" Kevin asks again to make sure he heard her correctly. "Yes, I'm pregnant." He knows they haven't slept together yet, so he knows this baby isn't his, so he goes right to the next thing he was going to say. It's Barney's, isn't it? He's known for a while, known for months, that Robin and Barney had this thing going on between them, and as much as he wanted to deny it, he knew all along that Robin could still love Barney and only stayed with him for whatever reason she had. Robin didn't say anything, she didn't need to, he knew already the answer. She had slept with Barney that night before that boat party, and that's why she wanted to break up with him. She wanted to be with him, but for some reason stayed with him while still having feelings for Barney. Okay, I knew it. I knew you had something going on with him. I didn't want to believe it because you were with me, but I knew you two did something together, and now it's obvious. I had tried to deny it, but now it all makes sense. You wanted to break up with me to be with him. Still, she remains quiet and he continues to speak. I'm going to save you the trouble of being the one who breaks this up and break up with you. At this time Robin's crying, trying not to get too overly emotional. Her tears aren't for Kevin, it's mostly for her, about how she screwed everything up around her and let down both of these men in her life. I'm sorry, Kevin. She says in a low tone, hoping he hears her. He heard her but didn't say anything back when he closes the door behind him after leaving the apartment. That's when she breaks down, which brings her to Barney's doorstep. As if he knew her shadow, Barney opens the door and she collapses into his arms, feeling drained and emotional over what happened with Kevin. He lets her in and closes the door, pulling her into him tighter and bringing her over to the couch, sitting down, still holding her close. It took Robin a couple of hours to get back to normal, and Barney then let her rest, giving her some time to control her emotions so they can talk. It was already 4 p.m. when Robin woke up. She realized as she looked around her that she wasn't in her bed. In fact, she is in Barney's. She doesn't even need to look down at the blanket over her. The sheets were silky soft, the pillow was very comfortable, and the blanket is grey, just like Barney's apartment. She knows what happened the night before, and she knows that she slept through the night and the next day. She woke up a bit sore from sleeping so long, but overall she is completely aware of what happened the night before, and honestly, truthfully, she's okay with it despite breaking down in Barney's arms. His strong, warm, caring, supportive arms, and all she remembers is his body around hers and him lifting her up in those strong arms and carrying her to the bedroom. She was exhausted and drained from everything that has happened in the last couple of months, possibly the last few months, since, well, April, maybe it was the entire year she had, realizing that all this time she's still in love with Barney, and the moment she saw him with Nora, reuniting caused her this emotional downward spiral that caused her so much pain, which led her to Kevin. Even though she still had feelings for Barney, she dated him and regrets ever doing so. She hates herself for all the pain she's caused, not only with Kevin but with Barney mostly, and herself. The fact that she was so scared to be happy and almost seeing her happiness disappear. But, after everything that's happened, she finally feels at peace. She's happy. Yes, she still regrets the roller coaster she went through this year, but doesn't regret ever loving Barney. She knows he's the one. It had taken her a one-night stand and a pregnancy to realize it, but she does, and she doesn't regret how much she loves Barney. She wants to spend the rest of her life with him and their baby. Robin felt a chill as she got out of bed, and surprisingly she was still dressed in the clothes from last night, but there is a robe on the Barney's dresser. She smiles, thinking how sweet he is for giving her that robe. She had left that here at Barney's after they broke up because she wanted to have something there just in case she happens to be at Barney's apartment. She slowly puts the robe on, instantly warming her up, then goes out to the living room, seeing if Barney's around. He was, in fact, on the phone. Barney smiled when he sees her, glad she's well rested and looks much better than she was the night before. He ends his call and looks at Robin, who's in the kitchen looking for some coffee. Hi, well, you were out the entire night and all day today. How are you feeling? He asks, walking over to where Robin was pouring herself some coffee that wasn't so fresh anymore. Better, thank you for taking care of me and for the robe, I forgot I had this here. She smiles, lifting the mug in her hands to her lips. Yeah, I thought you would wake up at some point, so I gave you the robe just in case you needed it. He walks over to her and gives her a quick kiss on her lips before parting. Yes, I did need it. I felt a little chilly, so thank you for thinking I needed it. She smiles, putting her arms around his neck, pulling him close to her. So, after last night, I wanted to ask, are you okay with maybe telling the other about us being together and the baby? The person he was talking to just a little bit ago was Lily. She said she was worried about Robin. She seemed so sad during Thanksgiving. Barney had been thinking about telling the gang about getting back together with Robin and them having a baby, but he didn't want to tell them alone, and he didn't want to do anything without asking Robin first, since he didn't want to get off to a bad start with her when they just got back together. That was Lily on the phone. She wanted to know if I knew what was going on with you. She's worried that you are sad over something and felt like a bad friend for not asking or helping you with whatever you're going through. Robin knew she was being a bad friend for not talking to Lily or anyone really for months. Nobody knew about her feelings for Barney, nobody knew that they slept together, nobody knew that she was going to break up with Kevin, and most importantly they didn't know that she was pregnant. Robin wondered if this is a good time to tell everyone about them, and thinks maybe it is, since she no longer wants to keep this from their friends. Yeah, I feel bad for pushing her away, she was worried about me. She pauses. Okay, I think it's time to tell them. I mean, I was a mess last night, but I think it's time. The fact that we have kept this very important thing going on with us, they should know what's going on. Call Lily back and tell her that you will meet with her tomorrow night, and I will call her a little later to also tell her the same thing. Barney picked up his phone, immediately redialing Lily's number. Lily picked up on the third ring. Hey, Lily, it's me. Barney started. He hopes she and Marshall is free tomorrow night so they can meet up and talk. Oh, hi Barney, what's up? Lily asked. Her stomach is ever growing with every day, and she's getting bigger in this pregnancy. I wanted to see if you're available tomorrow night. You and Marshall, I have something to talk to you about, and it's very important. Barney was solid all the way through this conversation, trying not to give himself or anything away, cause Lily knows when he's lying or holding something back from her, which does annoy him from time to time. Yes, I'm free, I will tell Marshall. What time tomorrow? How's 6? I think that's fine, I'll let you know what Marshall says. Okay, thanks Lily, see you tomorrow. They hang up, and at this time Barney had sat down on the couch and Robin is sitting next to him listening on to his and Lily's conversation. So? She's free but needs to talk to Marshall. I told her 6 o'clock. Okay, I will talk to her later but won't discuss our plan. I hope this works. I don't know what they are going to say about this, but I hope they won't be mad or think we're just being together for the baby. Robin had thought about what to say to their friends. This wasn't going to be an easy conversation to have, but it will be easier with them than it was with Kevin, although that went surprisingly better than she had thought. She's just worried their friends will make comments that neither Barney or Robin want to hear. She wants this all to be over with so they, Barney and herself, can be happy. I think it will. Barney moved over to Robin and put his arm around her back, and she moved into his embrace and rested her head on his shoulder. Being this close, this intimate with him, always felt safe. It's something she could never really explain or understand herself, but whenever she's close to him like this, rather it's a hug, kiss, or just him being near her like this, and all the other times at the bar when they are sitting together. Even when they weren't together and dating, they always seem to be more close to each other than normal friends are. The warmth of his body always felt more comforting than it should be, but she always loved it and never said anything because she allows the embraces because she wants to be close to him. His shoulder had always been such a soft, comforting spot to rest her head on. His chest was her favorite spot, but his shoulder was a close second spot to lean on. I hope so. I know how judgmental our friends can be. I just don't want them to think that we're together for the baby. Robin knows that her friends aren't the best at keeping things to themselves, especially Lily with being a blabbermouth, but she also knows that they are going to butt into their relationship just like they did the first time they dated, and neither one of them wants that again. It only made their relationship become a disaster. Yeah, believe me, I know this won't be smooth sailing, but hopefully they will be happy for us. Barney just wants for this to be over. He really just wants to spend some alone time with Robin before all the heavy baby things start. They just got back together, it's their time to just be a couple again before they have the baby, so hopefully all of the things they need to get out of the way will go smoothly so that they can just be a happy, normal couple. They don't want to get anyone mad or have this keep going on and on, so letting their friends know what's going on with them is the right thing to do. Anyways, with Kevin out of the picture, our friends almost knowing about us, and this little one on the way, he settings his hand on her stomach, smiling as she looks down at his comforting hand on her stomach that is starting to show a little bump. I was thinking, maybe we should have some time to ourselves and go out to dinner tonight, cause frankly I think we both need to have this time together since we just got back together. Barney knew she was tired after everything she went through recently and hopes they can just be together before any more chaos comes their way. They deserve it, after everything they both went through. I would like that. Robin looks back up at Barney and looks into his loving eyes, the same eyes who look at her this same way anytime he looks at her. It always melts her heart whenever he looks at her. They get up from the couch and go to get dressed but take a shower before getting dressed together. Tomorrow is going to be a long day. They need to figure out what to do about their relationship and how they are going to work with this pregnancy. The next morning Robin woke up refreshed and feeling like herself again. After everything she went through in the last 2 days, it had really taken a toll on her body and her mind had gone from being scared of what the future holds to being completely aware of what the future holds for her. It has been such a long, exhausting, bumpy road to where she is right now in her life. The fact is, she's pregnant and for the first time in a long time she's finally feeling happy and has everything she ever hoped for. Although, it had taken her a longer time, maybe too long to realize what she could have and almost lost, but after the last 2 days she's finally ready to live her life, her new life with her family. Barney and their baby. Things had gone smoothly with this pregnancy so far, nothing happened concerning her pregnancy, nothing that would affect her or the baby. Barney had been so great with her, taking care of her when she collapsed in his arms after breaking up with Kevin, and ever since he's been so caring and sweet, making sure she got everything she needed or wanted. The last 2 days were exhausting, however being with Barney again felt amazing. She finally has everything she's been wanting and more. Having this baby, their baby, is the most amazing precious thing to ever happen to her. Last night at dinner they just sat and talked about everything for 2 hours, enjoying just being together. It was the first time both really discussed the baby and their future together, which brought them to talking about what they will tell their friends later on this night. Both, worried that they will get bombarded with questions, so many questions neither are quite ready to answer. They don't think their friends will be 100% okay with what's been going on with them. The fact is they are having this baby no matter what. They are in this together for the long haul and couldn't be happier with the decisions, although, getting here the way they did wasn't great. However, the decisions they made were the best decisions for them and their child. Morning, beautiful, how'd you sleep? Barney had gotten up a half hour ago to make coffee and to check in with Lily and make sure the plans for tonight are still on. They are. Marshall had to work until 5, but they are going to meet them later so they can finally find out what's been going on with them lately. Very well. Thank you, and thank you for last night. Going to dinner was a great idea. Robin stretched and sat up on the bed, grabbing a mug that Barney just handed her. Now, the doctor had given them a list of things that Robin can do and not do for her pregnancy, and on the can-do list was that she can have a small amount of caffeine, which doesn't affect the baby at this stage in her pregnancy, but after the first trimester she can no longer have caffeine because it will affect the baby's health and will be very hyper as a baby. Yeah, it's so nice to just be with you again. I never felt this happy before and I'm so glad you're back with me. I was so scared that I will never be with you again for a long time, and when you told me you were pregnant it gave me some hope again and made me realize that I can never let you go again, especially now when you're having my baby and we're finally happy and are going to be a family. I never knew what happiness was until I met you and fell in love with you. This made Robin smile, giving him a kiss, realizing just how incredibly happy she is and how incredible Barney is, not just with her but actually being there for her when she needs him or when the baby needs him. She is secure and happy with where her life is right now. She doesn't want anything bad to happen to this happiness ever. I was shocked that I was, to be honest with you. I felt it. I felt like I was pregnant, and the shock that I was turned my whole life around, but I'm so happy and grateful to have you in my life, and now we're going to have this little one and be together, actually be together as a family, and it makes me regret ever giving up on us before. This is the one thing Robin really regrets, giving up on their first relationship when they dated before. It was messy, but she knows that giving up way too soon wasn't the right way to go about doing things. Her life had become a mess after their breakup, and it was all because of her unresolved feelings for Barney that really made her go on that downward spiral and almost made her lose the only person in her life she ever loved. And truly, if she can go back in time and fix their problems back then they wouldn't be where they were right now. She doesn't regret sleeping with Barney because it brought along their child that's living inside her to actually being a human being which they created after that crazy night of passionate lovemaking. Even though we slept together and at the time it wasn't for the best reasons, but I don't regret sleeping with you that night because we made this. She places a hand on her ever-forming stomach, smiling as she said, "It wasn't a mistake. Being with you that night was the best night of my life, and it was the most incredible, amazing sex I've ever had. I loved you then, I know I kept it in all this time, but I was, and I do regret not telling you, because then we would have tried to be together without this. Her hand is still resting on her stomach, which led Barney to put his own hand on top of hers amazing gift. Then we wouldn't have known that there was still feelings there between us. They look at each other, and in that moment they knew that all they ever needed was each other and maybe a little bit of timing. But, it's all they need, and they know that now. Okay, so I called Lily to see if she's still coming tonight, and she and Marshall are in, and we'll all meet at 6. Also, we haven't told Ted to join us. Should we give him a call to see if he's free tonight? Barney's one fear is that Ted won't be happy to find out that Robin's pregnant and that they are back together, and knows that there's still something there with him regarding his unresolved feelings for Robin. He's scared that he won't take this news well and of losing him as a friend. Of course he has Robin, but Ted's been his best friend longer than knowing Robin, and he hopes that he will take this news well because he and Robin doesn't want to lose Ted as a friend. Yeah, I think I should call Ted. He will respond better to me than you, and hopefully he will come tonight. Robin grabbed her cell phone next to the bed and called Ted, hoping he will be available tonight so the whole gang to find out this news. Hi, Ted, it's Robin. Hey, Robin, what's up? Are you free tonight about 6 o'clock? Yeah, I am. Is something going on? Yes, I'm meeting Marshall and Lily at the bar to tell them some very big news, and I want you to be there so I can tell you as well in person. Okay, I am free. I will be there at 6. Great, see you then, Ted. Robin hangs up as Barney watches the entire conversation between her and Ted, making sure Ted doesn't freak out or not come tonight. They need to tell everyone what's going on, and Barney doesn't want this to get out of hand with everyone asking questions or being mad at them for just being together. Barney and Robin are back together for good, so if any one of them has a problem with that, then this might cause the gang to split up, and neither Barney or Robin wants that to happen. Well, that went well, Barney said as he took out a white t-shirt before going into his closet to get out a suit for the day. Yeah, well, I didn't want to sound suspicious and give anything away. I wanted to keep it short and to the point, which is hopefully what will happen tonight. Robin isn't as worried as Barney is regarding Ted's opinions on them being back together, because that's not the issue that's a concern to her. However, she is worried about what Ted will say or do after finding out that she's pregnant. Robin knows that Ted won't take this news very well, the fact that she knows he still could have some feelings for her, but she is with Barney and is going to spend the rest of her life with him and their baby, so if he has any issues with that, then it might not be good for their friendship or Ted and Barney's friendship either. She hopes that everything will go well tonight and doesn't want anything to backfire on them or have it all go wrong for them. Barney and Robin then got dressed and ready for the day. Robin had become a big shot at WWN and just got a major promotion and a new office, which had always been her dream. She never thought, only a year ago, she was in a dead-end job and getting nowhere, but now she's this big person at WWN and she's actually pregnant, which is something she never thought she would want, but knowing that she's with the right person and someone she loves more than anything in the world. She never thought she would be here. It's all so wonderful but overwhelming to think that only a couple of years ago she was not at all happy with her job. She had just ended 2 big relationships and her life was going nowhere. But, now she has it all plus a baby on the way. Who knew that Robin Scherbatsky would actually become a mother, or that Barney Stinson, womanizer extraordinaire, would become such a wonderful man and a father-to-be. A very devoted, committed man, something he once vowed he would never do. They had come so far and now they are going to be parents. The world must have done something right to get them to where they are right now. Robin had gone to work and Barney had the day off, so he spent the day online picking out baby items. Only, a year ago he wouldn't have been caught dead looking at baby things, but now he's extremely excited about becoming a father. Barney and Robin hadn't talked much about things to get for the baby, but Barney wanted to get a head start and wants to surprise Robin with whatever he finds and picks out for their child. Are you ready? Robin and Barney are standing outside McLaren's holding hands, nervous about what will happen in just a few minutes. They hoped that this meeting will go good for them. They wanted to be stress-free for this pregnancy and hoped that their friends will be understanding and support them and their decisions. Yeah, I think so. I'm a little nervous though. Robin hadn't really concentrated at work today and was constantly thinking about what was going to happen tonight. Her mind just kept going to what will her friends say about this unexpected news, and what will Ted say or do about this pregnancy and about her relationship with Barney. She's worried this will all blow up in their faces. Me too, let's go inside. Barney let go of her hand and they walked inside the bar together, but in a more separate kind of way, with Barney going ahead of Robin, seeing Marshall, Lily and Ted all sitting at their booth talking. "Hey, guys," Barney said, sitting down next to Ted on one side of the booth while Robin comes behind him and pulls up a chair. They didn't want their friends thinking anything suspicious about them coming into the bar together, so they tried to be discreet as possible. "Oh, hey Barney. Robin, did you two come together?" Lily asked, looking from Barney to Robin and back at Barney, suspicious of her friends arriving at the same time. Kind of," Barney answered, looking at Robin quickly before turning to Lily. "Oh, okay, so Robin, Barney, what did you need to talk about that was so important?" Lily asked, wanting to know what her friends wanted to discuss that was so urgent and important that it couldn't wait any longer than they wanted to. "Okay, so what I wanted to tell you guys is..." Robin had looked at Barney wanting him to give her a sign to talk, and so she did and started telling their friends what was going on between her and Barney. Oh, wow. Everyone was shocked. That was a bit of an understatement, but it's true. Nobody said anything after Robin stopped talking about what has been going on with her and Barney. She hadn't said anything about the baby yet though. They all just found out about her and Barney sleeping together, which shocked them already, and had nobody saying anything for a while. "Yeah, that's not everything," Robin stated. Everyone looked at her and she continued. Barney and I are together. We're back together, for good this time." Still, everyone was quiet. "And, we are going to have a baby." Robin wanted to just come out with it. Her and Barney discussed what they would say when they were at dinner the night before and came up with just coming right out and saying that she's pregnant, but ended up telling them everything. Not just the fact that she's pregnant, but that they had slept together, that she had broke up with Kevin, and that she and Barney are back together and she's pregnant with his child. Everyone was still in shock and quiet, not knowing what to say about this sudden unexpected news. Nobody had any questions or knew what to say about this situation. It was all so unexplained. Lily and Marshall looked at each other. Barney and Robin did the same and stayed quiet after Robin told the gang their news, and Ted just stared into space like there was nobody sitting next to him or in front of him. Nobody had anything to say or knew how to say whatever they needed to. "Wow, I can't believe it." Marshall was the first to talk after a while of silence and oddness between the gang. "He's shocked. He did have his suspicions about Robin ever since that night of slapping Barney, and so did Lily, but neither of them said anything about their suspicions." "Yeah, well, we were shocked too. We both knew that we still loved each other, we were just not sure if the other one was feeling the same way. Then, that night after you slapped me." Barney looks at Marshall, rolling his eyes, and continues. "Robin helped me to go back home, and one thing led to another, and before you knew it we slept together and she's pregnant." Barney had been looking at Marshall and Lily's reactions this whole time and hadn't looked at Ted to see what he was thinking, but by the time he did, Ted didn't look at all happy. "Well, I don't know what to say, but congratulations." Ted had finally spoke about this in a not so happy tone, and instantly Robin and Barney knew that he wasn't happy about this news at all. Ted had gotten up from the booth and left McLaren's looking unhappy and slightly pissed off. Christmas had come and gone, and now there is one more week until New Year's. With Marshall and Lily going to Minnesota and Barney and Robin staying in the city and staying home watching the ball drop on TV, everyone was going to be mostly scattered for New Year's. It's been 2 weeks since Barney and Robin announced to their friends that they were together and having a baby. It shocked all of them, which wasn't surprising. Marshall and Lily seemed shocked but congratulated them, but Ted, he wasn't at all happy, and it has been since then, since seeing him. Everyone tried calling him, but his phone always went to voicemail. They tried emailing but didn't get a response, and tried texting but again no response. The gang began to get worried. The fact that Ted hadn't been seen since that night at the bar caused them all to be concerned. That night, Robin had tried to talk to him. "There you are, I've been looking all over for you," she says as she walks over to him. It was a brisk forward/cold night in December. It was a day before Christmas Eve when she told her friends that she was expecting a baby and that she and Barney were back together. Robin had looked everywhere she knew where Ted could be and couldn't find him anywhere. The last place she thought of was here, on the rooftop of her old apartment, the one she and Ted shared for a good number of years. She knew he could be here. It's where he usually went when he wanted to think and be alone. Ted was not happy earlier when Robin announced her news. And it wasn't good news for Ted. In general it was amazing news, very unexpected but amazing especially for Robin and for Bonnie. For the first time, Robin is finally in a place in her life where she feels normal, like here life is heading in a good direction, but there is one thing that needs to be cleared so everyone can really move on. Ted was quiet as she approached him. He was looking out over the rooftop at the darkened city around them. He usually comes here to be alone, but for some reason this wasn't the first place he wanted to go. It was getting late and there was nowhere to go, so he ended up here thinking about what he just heard, trying to make sense of everything. Where else would I be? Ted asked with a slight annoyance in his voice. Look, I know why you're upset, but you didn't have to leave the bar like that. She kind of hates herself for not realizing that Ted would not take this news well, especially when she announced it in the way she did. But, she's here to talk to him and get him to see that this isn't a bad thing and she's happy and solid in her life. Upset? He shouts after being quiet for some time, causing Robin to jump backward from where she was standing next to him. Are you kidding me? He's still shouting. Okay, geez, I think the whole building and block heard you. Calm down. She starts to step forward towards him, but he continues to shout as his voice gets louder. Calm down. I will not calm down. How can you be so stupid, Robin? He's pissed, it's understandable, but he doesn't have to keep yelling at her to make his point. This makes Robin start yelling too. Ted, stop it, okay? I wasn't thinking okay, but it wasn't like I planned on this to happen. She tries to explain and he's not hearing it, so she continues. It just happened. She yells, because it did happen and she doesn't regret it happening because it brought her the love of her life back. If anything, she does regret the way it happened, but she can't take that back if she wanted to. It just happened. What are you, 5? Robin, come on, you're an adult, you can make your own decisions. But, this is incredibly the most stupid decision you ever made. How can you be that stupid? He's still shouting, but not as loudly as he was. Stop it, just stop. I don't regret that night. I never did. What happened. I can't take that back, but can you at least let me explain myself? Ted kept quiet and she continued trying to tell him her thoughts on this situation. She means Bonnie and herself. Slept together. It was a one-time thing, but you have to understand that we had feelings for each other. We have feelings for each other. We're in love. I slept with him because I wanted to. Yes, it was bad timing and the way it happened wasn't good, but I don't regret that night and I don't regret my feelings. She tries to explain, but all Ted is thinking is, are you serious right now? He can't believe her excuses. I don't understand. Robin, you and Bonnie are the two most dysfunctional people I know. Your relationship was a disaster waiting to happen the first time you dating. Are you seriously telling me that you aren't with Bonnie because of the fact that you're pregnant? This only made Robin mad. Now after being calm she has had it with this attitude of his. No, Ted, I am not with Bonnie because I'm pregnant. I am with him because I love him. I slept with him because I still loved him. She yells, shouting that she isn't just having a baby but having this baby with Bonnie, confessing that she still had feelings for him. But, not only that, but is in love with him, and that night wasn't just a one-night stand, it was love-making. Of course, she wasn't going to say that. All he needs to know and understand is that she loves Bonnie and they are together and are going to have a baby together. Ted hadn't said anything for a good 5 minutes. Once Robin started yelling at him, he shut up and hadn't said anything, just kind of nodded his head either forward and backward or from side to side. No talking and shaking of the head was his response to Robin's rant, and it kind of annoyed her. No, I don't buy it. You slept with him, when you were with someone else. That is incredibly stupid. You cheated together, and he was also seeing someone at the time. Ted was not happy at all with her, which got her to say the next thing. If you don't accept the fact that I'm with Bonnie, that's fine, but if you think you can make me change my mind about Bonnie, then I'm sorry. We can't be friends anymore. Robin tried to get through to him but didn't get the response she wanted, so she started walking away to go back downstairs when he finally said, I can't believe you would pick him over me. And that got her to reply back with, I didn't pick him over you, I just love him and not you. She turns and heads back downstairs, where she comes face to face with Bonnie, who was waiting for her in the apartment. Hi, so how did it go? I could hear you screaming all the way down here. Bonnie had gotten worried about her and heard her and Ted yelling even down at McLaren, so he came up to see how she was doing. Obviously, it didn't go well since you heard us shouting all the way down here. Barney had heard most of the conversation and the part where she said that she loves him, but that was it, because then it went quiet. There was mostly silence after that point. She brushes past Barney to go to the door to go out of the apartment, and Barney followed. What happened up there? Barney asked, hoping she isn't too upset over what just happened. A lot of things. She tells him flatly and goes out the door and starts to go downstairs. Look, I know he isn't taking this well, but you love me. He tries to lighten the mood, hoping it will break the tension between them, but she just stayed quiet with no reaction to that last remark. They get outside and wave for a cab. They get in and they are silent the whole way back to Barney's apartment. She's upset, he feels sad for her and doesn't know what to do to make this situation any better for either of them. They get to the building and both exit the cab. Barney pays. They head upstairs with still silence lingering between them and get to their floor and go to their apartment. Yes, it is their apartment now. It almost makes things more better, but not quite what they needed. As they enter the apartment, Robin goes straight to the bedroom without taking off her coat. She just dropped her purse on the couch and went right to the bedroom. Barney closed the door behind them and then went to pick her purse off the couch and placed it on the coat rack by the door where it should be, then went to the bedroom. The first thing he sees is Robin still fully dressed and lying on the bed looking like she's crying but really isn't. Barney goes over to her, kisses her quickly on the forehead, telling her we'll talk more later, then shuts off the lamp on the table beside her and lets her sleep. He hopes that this thing doesn't get more complicated than it has been for her. He doesn't want her to be stressed out over this, which isn't good for the baby. The next morning is New Year's Eve. They had plans to just stay in and curl up on the couch and do nothing for the night. Barney hoped that Robin is back to her normal self so they can talk about what he had found online for the baby. He had spent all day looking for baby items online the day they had to tell their friends about the baby and them reuniting, but since Robin and Ted's conversation, things have been a bit icy between him and Robin. He's now worried that she might change her mind about them. It scares him that she might just leave him after everything Ted said about their relationship. 10-9. 8-7. 6-5. 4-3. 2-1. Happy New Year. Everyone on TV and around the world just shouted a Happy New Year as the countdown went to 1. Everyone kissed with the one they love and hugged their family member. While that was going on uptown at Barney's building, Barney and Robin had just kissed, telling each other they love each other and wished each other a Happy New Year. It had been a long couple of weeks for the couple. First they told their friends they were back together and were having a baby, then there was the whole Ted situation and Robin being really upset about how things went down between her and Ted. She didn't want that to happen. She didn't want to lose her friendship with Ted over this, but she already made her choice. Yes, it was unexpected, and it wasn't just a choice Robin had to make. It was that she was already in love with Barney before they slept together, which is why she made her decision to be with Barney. The morning of the 31st of December wasn't a happy one for either Robin or Barney. Robin had taken the whole Ted situation hard. She hadn't talked about it at all during the rest of the night after they got home. She didn't even talk about it the next morning either. She had said a good morning to Barney before heading into the bathroom to change and get ready for work. Boy, this is going to be huge for her job. She had just started this job a year ago and now she's pregnant and needs to tell her boss. But that was for later in the day. Even though most people have this day off, Robin didn't and had to work a half day and do the noon news while the daily forward/weekend anchors are off. She had already marked this day to take over the day for the other anchors, so she had to go to work. Hey. Robin had just finished getting ready for work, looking quite good for someone who was crying just a few hours earlier and for someone who's a month pregnant. She never seems to look bad even on her worst days. It amazes Barney every day how great she always looks. Barney was reading the morning paper as Robin walked in to get her morning coffee. Taking her maple leaf cup and pouring the hot liquid into it, then walking over to Barney who's sitting on the couch. It had been a tough night for Robin. She hadn't slept well for most of it and woke up a little tired from not only celebrating New Year's but also from crying over what happened between her and Ted. Robin, Barney and Ted are no longer talking after she talked to Ted. It was the last time either one of them saw or talked to him, and to be honest neither of them want to talk to each other because if they did, Barney has a lot to say to Ted. Robin would keep quiet and let Barney talk to him, and Barney and Ted would then have it out, and neither one wanted to have that conversation right now. Morning, how did you sleep? He had put her to bed about 2:30, putting the blanket over her still dressed form, turned the lights off and then went to sleep on the couch, letting Robin have the bed to herself. "Not well, feel a bit tired," Robin said, sitting down next but not close to Barney on the couch sipping her coffee. "I know you have to work today, but can we talk about what happened yesterday?" Barney had been worried the whole night about Robin because he heard her crying a few times during the night and tossing and turning in the bed. It worried him that not only did Ted completely disregarded Robin's feelings, but he was not a good friend to either of them, and now they aren't talking, which is upsetting Robin, and it's the last thing he wants to see, especially since she's pregnant. Even though this pregnant seems easy so far, he's still worried that this situation will cause her stress, which she doesn't need. I'm not ready. Can we just forget about this for now?" She really isn't in the mood to talk about this. Anything else is fine, but not this situation, which she has no words for yet. "Okay." Barney dropped the subject, then sat there staring at the wall in silence. "Look, what I said is true. I don't want to talk about what happened or the fact that we lost a friend. It's true, I love you. Nobody, not even Ted, can change that. Not now, not ever. What I said is 100% true, and telling this to Ted, it had to be said. It needed to come out and be out there for him to know that I'm 100% sure of myself and the mistakes we both made, but we..." She paused, looking down at her stomach. "Made this?" She puts her hand over her forming stomach, smiling as she looks back at Barney. "We made this out of love. It wasn't just a one-night stand with amazing sex, it was the night that brought us back together, even if there was a short detour. I love you, Barney. There is nobody else. What we did wasn't wrong. Yes, it was a mistake at the time and bad timing because we were with other people and cheated, but I don't regret it." She smiles at him and he smiles back, putting down the newspaper and scooting over closer to Robin on the couch. "Me neither. I really don't. Robin, that was the night. For me it was everything. It meant everything to me. Yes, I was confused the next morning, but I don't regret that kiss that led to us having that amazing night and creating this little one," he says, putting his hand over hers, rubbing softly his hand over hers, which is placed on her stomach. "Yeah, me neither. It was an amazing night. And, best sex I've had in a long time. Before that I was feeling so alone and like I lost you." She confesses. This is the first time she's ever revealed her true feelings to Barney about how she was feeling before they slept together and after that night, and it shocked him. "Truth is, I've been thinking a lot about you, about us giving up so quickly when we dated, and how if I had gone back I would do things differently." She feels so bad for giving up on them. Not only that, but the 2 years they could have had together after they broke up so quickly, and soon it was all so quick that she realized too late. Although it wasn't late, but still she almost did lose him. Even if it wasn't to Nora, it would have been to someone, and then she really would have lost him forever if she never slept with him, had created this little person growing inside her stomach and never told him how she felt. She could have never told him at all ever, and then that would have been the biggest mistake of her life. "Truth is, I would have done it all over again because it meant that I was still with you. God, we wasted so much time being apart. If we still kept quiet and nothing happened with us, we wouldn't be together right now. We would have still been apart and probably wondering if the other still wanted the other one. I feel so stupid for how we ended the last time. I hated the way I treated you and our relationship. I had the best woman on the planet and I let her go. I can never ever do that again. You hear me? I can't. It almost destroyed me. I was so in love that I took a good thing and screwed it up. I can't do that again. I can't lose you again, Robin. I don't think I would be able to handle losing you again." She was crying now. It had taken her the whole night to stop crying, and she finally did at one point, and then now Barney says this to her and she's crying again. "I know," she said through sobs. They kiss as she remains crying. Anytime she cries he always wants to kiss her or do something to cheer her up, but then he realizes he doesn't need to cheer her up because these aren't sad tears. These are happy tears. For the first time in 2 weeks she's crying happy tears, and it makes him so happy to see her happy again. After this, Robin had gone to work, not thinking, even forgetting all about what happened with Ted. She doesn't know if they can ever be close friends again, not after everything. But, all she knows is that she's starting this new life with Barney and she's happy. She has never been this happy before. Being with Barney made her dreams come true and her life complete. Now that they are having this baby together, things are better than ever between them, and next week Robin will officially move into Barney's apartment. So, before you leave, I wanted to know if we're still going to move in together. We haven't talked much about this since getting together, and I know this is sudden to ask, but are you going to move in here? They had talked about this when they got back together before going to the doctor to see if she was pregnant, and it was something he wanted to do but doesn't know if Robin is still up to moving. Yes, I still want to move in here. I want to do it next week. I just wanted other things to be talked about before this move. So, I think Tuesday will be a good day to move. We can ask Marshall and Lily to help. I know they don't know what happened between us and Ted yet, but they could help us. Barney and Robin hadn't talked to Marshall and Lily since they left to Minnesota, and they still don't know about Ted, or maybe they do by now, they don't know. Okay, well, I will see you later. Robin kissed Barney goodbye and left for work. She would be telling her boss today about being pregnant. During the day, Robin wasn't able to concentrate at work. Her mind kept wandering, thinking about what had happened with Ted and about the move she is about to make with Barney. She didn't sleep well the night before and woke up tired and feeling even more confused about what had happened with her, Barney and Ted. Robin wanted to make things right, but with Ted not even in New York and his phone turned off, it goes right to his voicemail. Robin felt useless. She wanted so badly to talk to Ted and find a way to fix things between them all. Robin tried to not think about the mess she got herself into, not just her but breaking up a friendship because she made a choice she doesn't regret. Yes, the choice was unexpected, but it wasn't like she just suddenly was in love with Barney. It was that she was in love with him, more now than ever, and had been for almost a year before sleeping with him that night. There was one thing she did do that she had to do this day, and that was telling her boss that she's pregnant. She decided not to take any time off from work until the month she would give birth, unless something goes wrong and she had to take an early leave from work. But, surprisingly, telling her boss that she is pregnant actually went well, and he took it well. Now that Robin had become this big shot at the station, Worldwide News had finally given her more opportunities to explore her abilities of this job at this job. She had become popular at the station after she did a story about addictions. It was one of the most well-praised stories that Worldwide News had ever done, and because Robin did so well at this report that the station promoted her. 4 months earlier, before everything changed her life forever, Robin was promoted to do the nightly news. After years and years and doing crappy news and getting nowhere in her career, she had finally found her place in a job she loved, and now she's getting all the praise she's always wanted. Barney, Ted, Marshall and Lily all threw a party for her the following week. It was a surprise party, and before everything changed in her life and in Barney's. The party was wonderful, and the gang was still together, and everything was how things were supposed to be within the group. Surprise! Everyone shouted as Robin entered the apartment. Oh, my God! You guys shouldn't have. What's all this for? She asks, stunned but happy that her friends were throwing her a surprise party out of nowhere. We wanted to throw you a surprise party because of your promotion. We are so proud of you, sweetie. You finally made it to where you wanted to always be in your career. Lily had planned the whole party, which was surprising cause she couldn't keep a secret for long. But she did. She kept the secret and she threw the party without Robin finding out. Thank you, you guys shouldn't have. Robin kissed her friend on the cheek and gave her a hug, thanking her for her surprise party. No problem. It was our pleasure. We are really happy for you and want you to succeed in everything you do. Lily told her, breaking their hug, and then they smiled at each other sweetly. We really are. Robin, I'm so happy for you. You deserve it. Ted had told Robin, smiling happy that Robin finally found her position in her career and is heading for great things. Thank you, Ted, I appreciate what you all did for me. Robin smiles, hugging Ted, grateful that he helped her get this job even though she started out at the bottom when she started this job. And, thank you for helping me. If it wasn't for you pushing me to get this job, I wouldn't be where I am right now. Ted smiles and they hug again. This was the last time they really talked about her career, and it was the last time they were still friends and didn't have all the things that had happened cause a rift between them. She really didn't want this to happen. She knew that after she found out that she was pregnant, everything was going to change. What she didn't expect was the outcome and the end of friendships and the gang splitting up due to what had happened between her and Barney. Robin had drifted away as she sat at her desk, remembering that day of her party and the last time Ted and Robin and even Barney were together and were still friends. She hates herself for causing this rift between the three of them. That very night, after the party died down, it was a moment that she would never forget. It was the night she realized that she still had feelings for Barney. Nora had joined Barney at the party that night as not only his date and girlfriend but as a guest of the party, someone who Lily had invited. Not that she or anyone else knew about her feelings, but that night really made Robin realize just how jealous she was of Nora and how she wanted to be with Barney. After that, her downward breakdown had begun, and that's when things changed for her. Hi. It was the first time all night that they finally gotten to speak to each other. With Barney being around Nora for most of the night and Robin hanging out with Lily, Ted and her colleagues from work. Barney and Robin hadn't spent any alone time together or spoke since she came home and saw that everyone surprised her with this party. Hi. Wow, this party was wonderful, thank you for coming. Robin and Barney hugged and smiled at one another for the first time that night, and she was beyond happy that Barney came to the party. I wouldn't have missed it for the world. Robin, I'm extremely proud of you, you deserve the world and more, and I'm so happy that you finally achieved the success you always put forward and wanted to achieve. She smiles brightly at him as he looks at her with this look he hadn't given her in a good while. It was the look that made her date him, it was the look that she always got when he was proud of her or was secretly in love with her, and it was that look that made her fall in love and never stop being in love with him even when she tried desperately to not be. Thank you. They stood there staring at each other for a few minutes before Barney started talking again. Robin, I just wanted to give you this. I know, we didn't need to bring presents, but I remember you looking at this a few years ago and I thought. Remembered that you were looking at it and mentioned that you always wanted one. So, I had to buy it and give it to you since you deserve it, and now that you have this job and your dream came true, I thought it was time for me to get this for you since I knew you loved it when you saw it. Robin didn't know exactly what Barney was telling her, but she took the present anyway, holding it first without opening it. After that, Robin had become distracted with other things, but later that night she opened the gift. When she opened the gift from Barney, she saw that he had bought her a heart-shaped locket. It looked like one that her grandmother had when she was a little girl. This locket though, she had saw the locket at a jewelry store when her and Barney were dating. She had forgotten all about it. After they broke up, any hopes or dreams she had of them went away, and she had forgotten that they had gone to the jewelry store to get a present for Barney's mother since it was her birthday, and saw this locket in the store. Surprisingly, it was right next to the engagement rings. Sometime after this they broke up, and things between them were really awkward and weird that she didn't remember this day or what happened or even the locket itself until just this moment and Barney giving this to her. Oh, my God. Barney. She says his name in a whisper. You remembered. And the tears started, and suddenly her feelings came back, and things had gotten so complicated after this. But it led to them getting back together. Not only getting together but sleeping together and becoming pregnant. Her life, their lives had changed forever because of this one locket. I can't believe you bought this. The tears had fallen faster, and soon she had completely lost it that night. She had gone to bed holding the locket close to her chest and cried herself to sleep. Robin remembered the locket, and her party, and Barney and everything that has happened for almost a year, and remembered that she had put it in her desk drawer at work. When her feelings returned for him, she had kept it in the drawer since then, and suddenly remembered that she still had the locket in the drawer. Opening the drawer and taking it out, holding it between her fingers and looking at it. How did everything get so complicated and messy? She says softly out loud as the tears start to falling. She wonders how she will ever find a way to get things back to normal between her, Barney and Ted. She made her choice, she made the right choice and doesn't regret it, but she needs to find a way to talk to Ted and fix things between them. She knows she messed up, without regret, but knows she's the one that needs to fix things. Barney's the one, she knows that now. Has known it for a long while, even if it took longer for her to realize it. He's the one she wants to be with. The one she loves. The one who's the father of her baby, and the one who bought her this very locket she's currently holding in her hand and getting wet with her tears that just keeps falling more and more from her somewhat bloodshot eyes. I have to make things right again. She puts the locket around her neck, gets up from her desk and leaves her office. She was done for today, telling her boss that she had to leave for the rest of the day. Only a year ago, Barney Stinson didn't even like the word commitment, but now he realizes that his life wouldn't have turned out so wonderful as it is now. The words, commitment, relationship, marriage and baby was words that seemed foreign to him. But, the moment he realized that he was in love, all those bad words didn't even come to his mind. Those words that once freaked him out, no longer freaks him out. In fact, Barney realizes now that those words he once would have ran away from doesn't seem so scary to him. He knew, has known for a long time, he doesn't know when it happened but he knows it's been a long time that he found himself in love with Robin. The once very single man he once was, no longer sees himself single and he couldn't be more happier. The moment he knew he was in love with Robin he knew he was going to marry her. Marriage was such a scary word to him but with Robin it isn't scary at all anymore, which led him here on bended knee, in front of the woman of his dreams, asking her to marry him and waiting for her answer. The minute he realized that he had that ring for a good few years now made him remember he still had that ring. Going into his suite room and into the back where he had put the ring in a velvet black box inside a box of old ties he never wears anymore. The moment he decided that this was it, that he would spend the rest of his life with the woman he loved more than anything, was the moment she came back into his life, even if it was for an unfortunate turn of life's events. He knew that she had been the one he wanted to be with for a long time. Again, he's not sure how long he's been in love with her or how longer he was in denial about being in love with her, but all he knows now for sure is that Robin is the only woman he wants to spend his days and nights with, and their unborn child too. It has been a really stressful 3 months. After everything that had happened, things seem to be getting back to normal. A month ago, after things got resolved with Ted and them, Barney finally found the right time to finally ask Robin what he's been wanting to ask for a long time. He wanted to make this proposal one for the record books, something that both of them will remember forever. But, also he wanted to make it simple. Robin's a simple-minded girl who doesn't like big romantic gestures. However, he wanted to make it big and romantic with a simple thought behind it. He thought and thought for a while, trying to come up with the right way to propose, and he wanted to not only be about her and them, but he wanted to make it be about their baby. So when he did finally thought of the right way to propose, he wanted to make this special for her, because after all the stress and everything that has happened in the last few months, she deserves this to be the most special thing, and it needed to fit them as a couple with a little that involved their unborn child. It was 3 months since getting back together, and in those 3 months their relationship had gotten better. They were no longer those people they dated 3 years earlier. They were better, more evolved. They both changed over those 3 years, and it all had to do with each other. The feelings they had for each other changed them, even when they seemed to be miles apart from each other in both the literal way and the physical way. While their hearts were there, their minds were miles apart, but over these 3 years Barney and Robin had come so far, and both changed and grew because they knew they were still in love and wanted to be together, even if it took them some time to realize it and understand what they have together. So, Barney decides to do this big epic proposal, and he wanted to do it right, and not just at the right time, but the whole thing needed to be planned just right for her, especially after what had happened with Ted and the gang 2 months ago. Robin had wanted to make things right again between her, Barney and Ted, because she felt really awful about their falling out. Ted had to get out of New York. He at first didn't know where he wanted to go, but ended up going back home to visit his mother. It only lasted for 5 days until he had to come home, his real home, back to New York, and deal with everything he ran away from. After visiting his mother, he realized he was being really unfair and an awful friend to 2 people he cared about. So, went back to New York to patch things up with them, and his visit with his mother made he realize he needed a change in his life now that everyone he knows is making a life with each other. He needed to search for something. He didn't know what that was, but he knew he needed a change in his life. With Marshall and Lily's convincing, Ted returned to New York, and the first thing he needed to do was clear things up with Barney and Robin, and most of all Robin, since she's the one who needed the apology more than anything else he needs to clear up. Underscore 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 underscore. He stood nervous at the door, waiting for someone to be there, hoping that someone's there so he can fix the things he should have been more nicer about. When Barney opens to the with a smile, his smile immediately went away when he sees Ted in front of him looking quite awful. He's looking like he just woke up or something. Ted. He says it like a question, cause the last time he saw him it was the day he and Robin decided to tell everyone about what was going on with them. He had a lot to say. He really wanted to let Ted have it. He had been so angry with him ever since he had that conversation with Robin, which had her become very depressed after that day. Barney, I wanted to come here to say. He trails off, not knowing exactly how to apologize for the way he acted about Barney and Robin's sudden news. You can save it, Ted. What you did, it really hurt Robin. Barney started saying what he's been wanting to ever since that night of the conversation between Robin and Ted. He really was mad at him. Usually he would let him slide on things like this, but only when it came to him. But when it involves Robin being hurt by him, all thoughts of forgiveness goes out the window, because when Robin's upset, and she really was for a good few days after that night, Barney gets upset, which usually he forgives easily, but not with this, and not after he saw how miserable Robin was after their conversation the other night. Ted wanted to say something, but Barney cut him off. No, Ted, what you did, it really hurt her, and for days afterward she was a mess. She really took your words hard. It took a toll on her, which worried me because of the baby, and the last thing I want is for her to be upset and stressed out, because when she is, it isn't good for the baby. This pregnancy, it hasn't been easy. So, let me say that if you want to apologize, it's fine, but don't come here and make any excuses or apologies for the way you acted towards Robin. I will not have it. You are supposed to be our friend. He pauses, feeling his heart speed up, causing him to sit down on the couch as he continues. You are supposed to at least be supportive, not for me but for her. I've never seen her so upset, and for days she hasn't been herself. She was so happy until your conversation, and for that I don't want to hear what you need to say, because for right now. He pauses again, closing his eyes and then opening them again, looking at Ted straight in the eye. I need you to go. She doesn't need to hear what you need to say, because I won't allow you to talk to her. At least not yet. She has just started to go back to being herself again, so please, if you care about her, you need to leave. He tells him, yes, Barney doesn't care about himself right now. The only person he cares about is Robin, and their child, but for now it's Robin he cares most about, and this situation with Ted really hurt her, so right now Barney doesn't want Robin to face this situation yet, so he's forbidding any apology Ted has, even if it is nice to see him again. There is only one person right now that he's concerned about, and that is Robin, especially after the scare they had just 2 days ago. Okay. Ted didn't say anything else and left the apartment without saying anything, which he understands Barney's reasons for his forbidding of seeing and talking to Robin. Later that night Robin came home from work seemingly happy, which surprised him because she's really had been sad over the situation with Ted, but it's nice to see her look somewhat happy again. Hi, she says, giving a quick kiss on his lips before going towards the bedroom. Barney didn't want to tell her that Ted came by earlier because he didn't want to upset her again since she seems so happy. But he needed to tell her, and if he didn't she could get mad at him, and he doesn't want that to happen. Listen. Ted had shown up today. Robin had been starting to undress and get into some comfortable clothes when he starts telling her this. She looks at him, stunned, not knowing what to say about this. He wanted to talk to you to apologize about what happened, but I. And now she's looking at him staring, wanting to know what Ted said to him. I sent him away. Her face turned from shocked to annoyed, but with him, not Ted, and this got her angry for the first time in 2 days. I didn't want you to talk to him, not yet, because after what happened, you were really upset for days. I just didn't want you to be more upset, and I care about you and the baby's health to not get you upset again. You were really stressed out too for some time. Don't be mad at me. I did it because I'm worried about you, about what you will say to him, about what he will say to you, so I had to send him away just for now at least. She was mad, but slowly she understands why Barney did what he did. He's worried, scared and unsure about her health and the baby's too, but mostly her. Robin sat on the bed staring away from Barney, who was quiet on the other side of the room. She didn't know what to say or what to do about this, but she knew he was right to do what he did, but still she's been wanted to talk to Ted since the other day when she found that locket. I get it, you're worried about me, but I'm fine. I wanted to talk to him. He realizes that maybe she should have let Ted talk to her, but he was scared about her reaction to him. Okay, let's just take the night and rest. You have been exhausted lately and that's not good for you, so let's just rest of anything regarding Ted tonight, and then we can figure things out tomorrow. Plus you just came home from a long day at work, you need rest. He's right, he's been so great to her ever since she found out that she was pregnant, and it makes her feel better about everything that's happened with Ted, so she agrees to rest for tonight and talk tomorrow with Ted, and she has to talk to him alone. Alright, let me just go wash up, I'll be right back," Robin says as she goes into the bathroom. Looking at herself in the mirror, she's trying to make sense of everything that has happened in the last few months and days. She really is tired of everything which isn't good for her or the baby, so as she looks at herself in the mirror she realizes that even though she's happy right now with her life, she has been really stressed out for days. So as the tears start to fall and the stress of the last few days go away, she decides to not talk to Ted right now, even though she really wants to fix things between them. She can't face him right now after being so depressed and stressed out the last few days. Robin knew she had to make things right again between Ted, Barney and herself, so while thinking about how to make things right between them, yesterday had been a very stressful day. She had thought and thought about how to get them all to be friends again, but couldn't find a way to do so because Ted was not in New York and he was not returning any of her calls or texts. Finally, after a while she gave up, knowing she couldn't get the three of them to talk, even if she desperately wanted to fix this mess she got them all into. When Barney told her that Ted stopped by yesterday, she was a bit mad that Barney told him to leave. She really wanted to talk to him, but after some time and some distance she finally went over to Ted's apartment, hoping he was home so they can sit down and have an open, honest, heart-to-heart conversation without any yelling or walking away mad. So, Robin got up the courage to go over to Ted's in hopes of finally dealing with this mess of a situation between her, Barney and Ted. Good thing Ted was home, and with a sigh of relief she can finally put this situation at ease so they all can finally move on and forward with their lives. Robin knew Ted was back in town after her conversation earlier this morning with Barney. After a little arguing over this situation they both came to an understanding, and Robin, she finally figured out a way to talk to Ted, and hopefully without fighting or regretting ever coming over here in the first place. She waited after one knock, hoping he was there so they can get this over with so they all can move on and be happy, because that's all she wants. Robin wasn't sure if Ted was home since it's during a work day and school day, but luckily this day and time he was home. "Hi," she says as he opens the door, lingering in the door frame waiting for him to respond to her sudden appearance at his door. "Robin," he says, not with the tone she was hoping for, but at least he hadn't shut the door on her, so maybe this was a good sign that he's back to normal and is ready to talk, in a normal friendly manner. "Ted, can we talk? I've tried to reach you for a week, we need to settle this and move on," she tells him, still at the door waiting for him to say something, do something or let her into the apartment. He lets her in after a minute of thinking to himself what to do, but after his conversation with Barney yesterday, he knew he really screwed things up with Robin and with Barney, but with Robin more so than Barney. The way Barney seemed to not only be pissed off with Ted's behavior, but he was worried and concerned for Robin, which for the first time ever since knowing Barney, it seemed like he really had changed and was really caring and worried for Robin's sake since she's pregnant. Ted knew from Barney that Robin hadn't taken the aftermath of what happened between her and Ted well, and it really made Ted kick himself for the way he acted after they're announced and how he treated Robin in the wake of the situation at hand. He didn't begin to understand what happened between Robin and Barney, and he will never quite fully understand it, but he knew he didn't want to lose Robin, or Barney for that matter, but mainly Robin's friendship over being such an ass about this situation. However, Ted knew he needed to make things right between them all and fix their friendship since he didn't want to lose either of them. So, that's when on the 5th day of visiting his mother and Clint he decided he was being stupid and decided to come back home to fix things between them. With Marshall's convincing and Lily's emotional roller coaster of hormones begging Ted to come home and fix this problem, Ted finally put his ego and jealousy aside to go make things right again. Ted stepped aside and let Robin inside the apartment, closing the door behind her. They were quiet for a while before Ted broke the silent tension between them to say, "I'm sorry. I really am, for acting the way I did and for upsetting you. I never meant to make you upset, and now that I know that you didn't take it well, I really want to apologize for the way I acted in this situation," Ted said as Robin let him talk and apologize for the way he acted about the situation they were all in at the moment. "I accept your apology," she says with a smile, a light smile but a smile that broke the awkward tension between the two friends. Yes, friends and nothing more, which is why Ted is apologizing to her on Barney's request and concerns to not stress her out even more than she's already been. There was silence again between them. After a couple of minutes Ted talked again. "I really want to say," he had processed the situation and came to a realization. A final reaction if you will on this situation, and he realized he not only dealt with this the wrong way and took his loneliness out on his two best friends for finding each other, but he finally came to an understanding on why Robin and Barney had found this incredible relationship and love with each other. It made him realize that he isn't in a good place in his life and is nowhere close to even finding or having what Barney and Robin have with each other. That's the real reason he acted the way he did and ended up going back home to get away from all the happiness and all the love around him, that finally he realized in the wake of Barney and Robin's relationship and his anger towards them falling for each other is that he's alone, he's lonely, and he needs to get to where Barney and Robin are in their lives, which he is far from getting to, which makes him a little bitter over how shocking and unexpected this news was. I am sorry for the way I acted, but I was in a bad place and I took it out on you and Barney. I never meant to hurt you in any way, and I realize now how lost and alone I am. When I saw how happy you are, with Barney no less, it made me realize I need a change in my life, and I actually, which is weird and a bit awkward to say, especially since we have had a relationship, it was hard to understand, but I wish I had what you have with Barney. For the first time, Ted really felt like the universe was somehow shifting in another direction, and that direction was Robin and Barney actually having something more real than he thought, which got him to say what he's been having a hard time saying all this time. More silence was needed in this moment to have this all sink in for the both of them, but it really helped for Ted to say this and to open up like this, and for Robin to understand what he's going through, because she had felt that way for a long time. Since she realized her feelings for Barney were too strong for her to deny anymore. Her happiness, for a long time, was something she never thought she would get to have, and she never thought she would get to be with Barney again, because after their breakup she told herself for a long time afterward that she wouldn't go down that road again, no matter how devastating and emotionally drained she was for almost a year before they slept together. But now, Robin is really happy and understands what Ted was going through, because she went through the same thing, and it is really a breaking point into realizing that your life needed a wake-up call, to change, to be ready for the things in life that makes you happy. In Robin's case it was Barney, and in Ted's case it was whatever is out there that can truly make him happy. It's what he's been wanting and waiting for his whole life. I'm glad you told me this, Ted. If I hurt you in any way because of how badly I screwed everything up, I didn't mean to. But I really am happy, and I want you to be happy too. Robin tells him after a couple of minutes of silence as they sit now facing each other on the couch. No, you didn't hurt me. I hurt myself for staying in this time warp of believing that I will have what Marshall and Lily have and what you and Barney have. I just didn't realize it sooner, or I wouldn't be in this broken shell of who I used to be. They smile again for the first time since talking, and Ted pouring all of this out on her. But it needed to happen so they all can finally be friends again and move forward in their lives, especially Ted, now that he seems to be ready to have that happiness he longed for his entire life. Good, I do hope you find happiness, Ted, because I want you to be happy just as much as I am. It took me a long time to find my happiness, but I knew all along that it is with Barney, and someday you will find your own Barney and be happy like I am. Robin gets up to walk to the door to leave, and Ted stands up with her and follows her slow steps to the door. One more thing that I want to say, Ted announces, as they stand near the door. Yeah. Robin wants to know what he wants to tell her and listens to what he needs to say. I'm really happy for you, Robin. I know you will make a great mother, but I also wanted to tell you something else, something I've been holding on to for a few months that I didn't want to tell you about because I thought for a minute that it wasn't true and you would somehow be with me again. But I realized how awful I'd be if I kept this from you, now that you're with Barney. Ted had seen it. It wasn't some drunken vision. He had seen Barney in Robin's room that night back in November, and this whole situation made him remember that night watching Barney looking really upset over something, and now that he thought about it, it makes sense that it was because of Robin. Something that had happened between them, which now he knows why Barney was in her room with the roses and candles looking upset over something between him and Robin. What? She asks, wondering what Ted has to tell her. Remember, back in November, the night when I was kind of high due to eating a lot of sandwiches? Ted asks. Well, obviously she does, cause it was the night her life changed, and it was also the worst night and time in her life. Yes. Robin says, raising an eyebrow trying to figure out what Ted's talking about. Well, after I went home that night I witnessed something. He's seeing the many looks that Robin's giving him, and she's thinking hard about what it is that Ted saw that night. Robin stood there letting Ted continue telling her about the worst time in her life. A time when she regretted the choices she made, a time when her life had changed, and a time when something she once thought she never wanted actually happened and is happening to her life right now. Being pregnant after that night with Barney and confusion on the boat the next evening. Barney, he states, not knowing how to tell her this, but continues. I saw him in your room that night with a bag, a trash bag. He was putting rose petals inside it and blowing out candles. Suddenly, Robin felt a little sick to her stomach and tears coming unannounced down her cheeks. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. I'm sorry, Ted, I gotta go. She tells him, running out of the apartment in tears with the sudden thing she just found out about. Barney, he was serious that night on the boat when he wanted them to get back together and talk about their relationship. Even if they are together now, this news makes her feel a bit sick. Sick to her stomach, sick with herself, sick with the bad decisions she made, and sick of feeling the pain Barney must have felt that night she rejected him. Now, she understands just how angry and upset he was with her. He's still mad over that situation and her decision. No wonder he was upset with her the day they came back from the doctor, when they finally found out that she was indeed pregnant. She realizes how much pain he was in because now she feels the pain of what Barney went through because of how royally she screwed up that night. She needs to make this up to him even if she doesn't know how. She needs to make this up to him and make it right so she can ease his mind and make him understand her bad mistakes and tell him just how much she regrets that time and that decision. Robin got down to the street and hailed the first cab she saw getting in and going right to her. Yes, it's her apartment now too, to talk to Barney. Robin knew she had to find a way to make things right with Barney regarding the information she just learned about from Ted. She knew Barney had been upset about that time she chose another man over him and that he really did hope that they could talk and try to have a new relationship between them. Barney wanted to get back together with her that time back in November and had planned to discuss their relationship and where they stood on maybe trying again and getting back together. It was what both wanted at the time, but she had to be the one who chickened out and hadn't done the deal they made to break up with Kevin. She knew then that she wanted to be with Barney. She knew that she had been in love with him for a while before they slept together and knew that her feelings overpowered her mind, which made her make the worst mistake she's ever made in her life. So, now Robin knows just how upset and mad Barney was and still is about that night, and now she has to find a way to make it up to him even though she can't go back and change that night and her choice. She has to find some way to make it up to him even if she doesn't know how and can't change what she did in the past. They are about to become a family. They can't go on holding things back from one another and keeping things bottled up inside, which was one of the problems they had during their first try at a relationship. They had never been ones to open up and talk about their problems, which was one of the reasons their relationship crumbled. That and the fact that they were under this extreme pressure from the gang to be some sort of couple that they weren't, so they ended up breaking up because of all the little problems that were solvable bottled up and caused their untimely breakup. Barney and Robin discussed starting over, starting fresh, and since they are starting over in this new relationship which also involved having a baby. A baby who was a shocking surprise had become more of an unexpected miracle, one that Robin used to not believe in. She never believed in miracles. It had taken some unexpected feelings, leftover feelings, a cab ride of a recent moment they shared in which both realized that they were still in love, kissing, and never stopping, which changed their entire lives forever. They talked about what they needed to talk about back in November and realized what had went wrong with their first try at a real relationship. They figured out why and how things went wrong that ended their relationship way too soon. The first time they weren't ready, but now things are much different and things had changed drastically since 3 years ago. But, what still was lingering over their relationship was the fact that Barney was very serious back in November about them talking about their relationship. She knows that he's been upset with her over that time. It was instantly brought up the day they found out that she was pregnant. So, Robin, after finding out from Ted that Barney had set up rose petals and candles in her room that night, had her realizing just how mad and upset Barney really is with her. She knows he's happy, she knows he loves her, and since getting back together they wanted to do things right, better than how they handled their relationship 3 years earlier. In the cab ride back to the apartment, Robin had been crying, sobbing really, over just finding out what Barney had done, and now she's crying and thinking of a way to make it up to him. After everything they've been through over the years, they wanted to do things right, which means talking about things that are difficult to talk about. They want to have better communication with each other, which had failed miserably 3 years ago. It's now February, Robin is 4 months pregnant and slowly growing every day. All the stress that she's been under for the last 5 months, maybe more, had started to take a toll on her body, which affects her pregnancy. She has been tired, stressed, drained, upset, sad, and worried about the future, and most of all the thing that she's most worried about is the baby, hoping that with all the stress that the baby is somehow not affected by it. Up until this moment, in this cab, things looked like they were starting to affect her emotions, which affects her body, which then affects the baby. She is determined to fix things with Barney over what had happened in November, and they had put it off all this time due to other things going on around them the last 3 months. Now, in the back of the cab, she desperately wants to talk to Barney and try to fix this problem, the last problem they have to settle between them, so their relationship from here on isn't affected by anything hanging over their future relationship, especially now that they are going to have a baby. They wanted to start over and have a different relationship this time, and didn't want anything to be held back or against the other one, since there will be a baby in a few months that needs their full undivided attention. But, as she sits in the cab waiting for this traffic to stop stalling, she feels a sharp pain in her abdominal area. Clutching her stomach with her hand and pressing on her stomach, the spot that's in pain, she tries to stop it with a simple touch that usually works on the baby, either to stop kicking her or with any pains she may feel. Hoping the pain would subside, her thoughts on her situation she needs to fix and the baby all started to mess with her emotions, which caused her to start sobbing more louder. The pain didn't stop, instead it kept going as she sat in the traffic of the city in back of this cab. She gets out her phone trying to call Barney with shaky hands and tears that somewhat blinded her view of her phone in her hand. She quickly dialed the number she had memorized for a while now. She hopes he picks up, she knows he's at home at this time of day, that's why she had to quickly get home to try to talk to Barney about what she just found out. Thank God, she said between sobs once Barney picked up on the second ring. Robin, he answered, barely hearing her through her sobbing loudly in his ear. Barney, there's something wrong with the baby. She tells him, sobbing a little quieter than a minute ago. What? He asked, not knowing what she's talking about since he still can't hear her correctly as she is still sobbing uncontrollably through the phone. Barney, there's something wrong with the baby. I felt a sharp pain in my stomach and it hadn't stopped for about 5 minutes now. I think there's something wrong with the baby. She says now more clearer for the first time since she called him. Okay, Robin, calm down and just get to the nearest hospital, I'll meet you there. The traffic had moved more by now, so Robin had to reroute the cab to the nearest hospital. Robin stayed on the phone with Barney as he put on his pants, trying to calm her down more so they can talk in a normal tone to understand her better. When you get to the hospital, tell me what hospital you're at and I'll meet you there as soon as I can. Barney tells her, now dressed fully as he quickly grabs his keys and wallet before heading out the door in a rush to meet Robin. The cab stopped at the nearest hospital. Barney and Robin stayed on the phone the entire time as he tried to calm her down and steady her breathing. The cab driver helped Robin out of the cab and into the emergency part of the hospital, trying to find a doctor to help his passenger. Yes, what's wrong? A nurse asked as they entered the emergency area of the hospital. The first nurse they could find right away as they entered to hospital. Robin had been clutching her stomach, the pain hadn't subsided or calmed yet, and now she's more worried than she was in the cab. The nurse helped Robin get to the nearest room. Robin had been clutching both her stomach and the phone as she walked with the nurse. The cab driver had left once the nurse helped Robin to an emergency bed, but Robin had been talking to Barney, who is now screaming through the phone to get Robin's attention. I'm sorry, but we need to take your phone, Ms. Robin shook her head and said, I've been talking to my boyfriend since this pain started and I need to tell him where I'm at so he can know to come meet me here. Robin tells the nurse as she examines her. The nurse took the phone from Robin and started talking to Barney as he screams, yells more like it through the phone, worried about what's going on with Robin. Sorry, sir, I had to take the phone from your girlfriend because she needs to concentrate on other things at this moment. I can talk to you. She told me to tell you which hospital this is. It's Lenox Hill Hospital. Your girlfriend had been experiencing some pains. We are currently trying to help her, but she's in good hands. The nurse explains to Barney as he tries to calm his nerves and voice as he get into a cab to get to the hospital. Okay, tell Robin I'll be there as soon as I can. He says, hanging up right away before the nurse could say anything else to him. underscore 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 underscore. Barney had it all planned. He wanted this moment to be absolutely perfect and memorable for the both of them, and he spent weeks trying to come up with the best way to propose because he knew this was it for him. Robin is the one he wants to spend the rest of his life with. He should have proposed that night on the boat or even before that, because he knew he wanted to spend his life with Robin, even before she became unexpectedly pregnant, which oddly got her to come back to him. But Barney had known all along that he wants to be with Robin and that he still was in love with her, more than he ever thought possible, and he hoped that she felt the same way as he did. Luckily, she did feel the same way and was in love with him for a while before they slept together in November. So, Barney knew he had to make this proposal absolutely perfect for Robin, for himself and for their baby. He knew he wanted to propose on Valentine's Day and had planned this proposal since January, but wasn't sure exactly what he wanted to do to propose. The how of proposing had to work with Robin and the baby as well. He wanted to incorporate everything he could into this one special and hopefully memorable moment of their lives. So, he worked and worked for weeks trying to come up with the perfect proposal. The problem was that there were a lot of other problems that needed to be fixed, so he thought now that after everything that had happened in the last 3 months would be the right time to propose on Valentine's Day. After all the planning, all the stress, all these months, all these weeks since that emergency with their baby, he knew this was the right time to propose. He wanted to make this perfect, memorable, romantic, and most importantly he needed to have the right time and moment to propose. Robin, himself and their baby had to remember this years into the future, and it had to go smoothly and be special for the both of them to remember for the rest of their lives. So, that led him here down on one knee proposing to the love of his life as she sobs shaking in front of him. He knew, the moment he met Robin, that she was hot, attractive, and yes, he did want to hit that, but after getting to know her and then falling in love with her, he knew she was the one she wanted to spend every day and every night with for the rest of his life. He set this proposal up to be perfect, with nothing holding them back anymore, so they can move on and forward in their lives together. Robin Scherbatsky, I love you so much, and from the moment I met you I knew there was something unique and interesting about you. I have never been the one to want a marriage or a commitment. I never believed that I would actually find my soulmate, because by the time we met I had given up on all of that because I realized that nobody will ever love me. So I gave up and became the person you now know, the womanizing, crazy me, and for some reason you stayed. You stayed by my side through all of my crazy schemes and sleeping around and all my pointless jokes. You stayed for some reason, I don't even know why you did, but you did, and you were strong. You are the strongest, most amazing, most awesome, most beautiful person I've ever gotten to know. You are my partner, my best friend, my one, my soulmate, and almost in a few months the mother of my child. I once didn't want marriage or commitment or even children, but now, you are the only person I actually considered having a life with, spending my days and nights with, and I wouldn't know anyone else who I would want to share my life with. She had been in crying sobs this whole time, the minute she walked in that door, in that beautiful red dress, looking stunning, making him lose all sense of what he was about to do. He's never been so amazed by anyone, but this moment had caught his heart to leap into his throat, causing him to shed a couple of tears himself. But he needed to keep himself calm and collected and not be too overwhelmed with emotions at this moment. So, he wipes his eyes and cleared his throat and then walked over to where Robin is now standing, looking stunningly beautiful in her red dress. So, Robin Scherbatsky, after everything we've been through together and apart, I love you more than anything or anyone. I want to spend the rest of my life making you happy, so will you marry me? He's smiling through nerves as he looks up at the beautiful woman before him, who is also smiling ear to ear with her own tears cascading down her face. Hoping after everything, she would become his wife, because this, for him, is forever. Yes, of course I will marry you, she says, still crying, trying to calm herself, but he quickly got up to kiss her, which stopped her heavy stream of tears and calmed her shaking body. They pulled apart and he slipped the ring onto her finger, then kissed her again, this time more longer and more passionately than he did a minute ago before putting the ring on her finger. underscore 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 underscore. Barney finally made it to the hospital, running quickly inside to get to Robin, hoping and praying that she and the baby is all right. God, he hoped that she's all right and that there's nothing wrong with the baby, because as he sat in the cab with tears in his eyes he couldn't help but think of something going wrong, and his mind just kept going to something bad which caused him to freak out and cry more. But he got to the hospital and hopes nothing happened to Robin or the baby. They were supposed to have another checkup in a week to find out the sex of the baby, but now he isn't even thinking of that as he entered the hospital trying to find someone who knows where Robin is. When Barney finally reached the hospital, he had hoped that everything with Robin and the baby would be okay. As he sat in the cab he wondered if something much worse had happened, but when he talked to the nurse she told him that they will have everything under control and that Robin is in very good hands. Her voice on the phone broke his heart. He was so worried that he didn't even suit up when he left the apartment. The ride to the hospital had been quick and he got there in record time, huffing and puffing as he ran inside the hoping and praying that Robin and the baby is okay. He ran to the front desk and talked to the first person he saw, hoping they had information on what's going on with his girlfriend and baby. Calming down some and catching his breath, the person at the desk told him that they are currently working on Robin, but they didn't have any information that they could tell him. The only thing they did tell him was that there was some bleeding, which Robin at first didn't realize until the doctor checked, and when they told her that this was a close call and that getting to the hospital when she did saved the baby's life. The bleeding had almost gotten worse as they checked over Robin and checked to see what's going on with the baby. It was over an hour when someone finally came and told Barney about what was going on with Robin and his child. Luckily, with relief they told him everything that had happened and that it was indeed a close call for the child. If Robin didn't get to the hospital on time then things would have been worse. Barney was frozen in the spot he stood as the nurse told him about the close call that Robin almost had. Tuning in and out to the information, trying to make sense of everything he's being told. He had felt his knees and then his legs start to give out. He was shaking and worried but relieved that Robin and their baby was okay. "You can go see your girlfriend now, Mr. Stinson." The nurse walked back towards the room where Robin was being held in since a few minutes ago when the doctors finished up doing what they were doing for Robin and the baby. He got to the room in just 2 minutes. The room wasn't that far from the waiting area that he was in. When he got to the room she had been facing the window, looking like she's sleeping. Sighing, he was so thankful that both Robin and the baby was okay now, and that really was a close call. They almost lost their child. He guessing that all the praying and hoping paid off, because the two people he loves most in this world almost had something really much more worse than he had first thought. Although, when Robin called him earlier she was really freaked out, which made him freak out too and overreact, thinking the worst, which did almost happen. When the door opened Robin turned around in the bed to see who was coming in. With a light, sad smile on her face Barney had ran over to her, pulling her into a hug. They broke apart from the hug 5 minutes later. They had clung to one another for a while, which was really comforting because both were in tears crying over what almost happened with their baby and maybe her as well. "Thank God, you're all right. I was so scared since your phone call," he tells her in a whisper in her ear, and she nodded and pulled back from the tight embrace. "Me too, I'm so glad nothing did get more worse than it was and they saved the baby." Robin was in some serious pain when she got to the hospital and realized that she was bleeding after the nurses told her. That's the thing she wanted to tell him but didn't get to, and then the nurse took her phone and talked to Barney but didn't tell him anything more than that they are handling the situation, which made him freak out more as he was in the cab. Barney had gotten in bed with Robin holding her close as she slowly drifted off to sleep. He was really worried, but grateful that nothing worse happened and that the baby is fine. The doctor did save the baby just in time, which Barney and Robin are relieved and thankful for. As Robin slept, Barney began to wonder about other things that weren't so serious. In fact, before Robin called him he was starting to think of a way to propose to Robin. He had been thinking of proposing since Christmas, but didn't know when or how to propose. He had wanted to make this something incredibly special and meaningful to the both of them. He was so excited about becoming a father, that he wanted to include the baby in his special propose. This had to be the most amazing, most epic, most legendary proposal of all time. Everything was put on hold when Robin called him in a panic, worried about the baby, which had him stop what he was doing and run to the hospital. He thought and thought of what to do for this epic proposal, and he had about 50% already made up and done within the last week. He already knows part of the when he will propose. It will be in exactly 3 weeks on Valentine's Day, and he had to keep this top secret so nobody but him knows that he's going to propose. He wanted to make this official, make them official, because he wants to spend the rest of his life with Robin and their unborn child that they almost did lose just now, only 3 months into the pregnancy. He knows with all the stress that had happened in the last few months had really gotten to Robin, and it had her really worried and stressed, which caused for the close call with the baby. The baby had felt all the stress and concerns that Robin was feeling and dealing with, and this was something that had worried Barney before, when the whole things with Ted had blown up in their faces and caused the stress that Robin was under. Robin had put off going on her maternity leave until at least the 8th or 9th month of pregnancy, but with everything that almost just happened, the doctors told her to take it easy and relax, because this could happen again, especially if she's under more stress. So, her leave from work needs to start immediately, which she was hesitant about, but understood why the doctor told her to take an early maternity leave. Robin had slept almost an hour before waking up, more liking jumping up in a cold sweat, screaming, then crying. Barney had drifted off to sleep as well, but her screaming had woke him up as well. "Robin, you okay?" He ran over to her bed, and she was sobbing and talking about her dream she just had, which was her losing the baby and then losing him. "Never, you're with me forever." It was supposed to be a joke, but it came out more serious, which had her cling to his shirt, telling him never to leave her. "Okay, because I had wanted to ask you something before the pain started in my stomach." After Robin calmed down and collected herself, she had wanted to ask him about the thing she had found out from Ted that happened in November. "What's that?" he asks, pulling apart from their hug to look into her eyes to find out what she wants to tell him. "I had gone to talk to Ted. You know, I wanted to clear things up with him, and after we came to an understanding and made up. He told me out of the blue that he saw you in my room back in November with rose petals, candles and a garbage bag. I wanted to ask, was that true? Were you really that serious about us being together back then?" Of course, she knew this already, because they talked about it back in December after they got back together, after they found out about her being pregnant. Barney looked at her, looking quite shocked that she had found out about that thing he did in November, when he had thought that they would somehow get back together, and then he looked somewhat sad, which made Robin's heart hurt just with the expression he's giving her right now. So, it is true, he really was serious about getting together that night, and now she understands just how upset he was over the worst decision she's ever made. "Oh, I'm so sorry, Barney, I didn't realize how upset you were over my bad life choices. I didn't know just how mad you were because of something I did. I thought you weren't going to break up with Nora, that's why I stayed with Kevin. My decision to stay with Kevin wasn't because I didn't love you. It was because I was deeply, crazy, irretrievably in love with you, that I was scared that not only would you back out and not go through with breaking up with Nora, but I was scared that if we tried us again that it wouldn't last and end like it did last time. I was more scared that I was going to lose you, that I almost did lose you, rather it was to some other girl, or that you were really over me and not serious about us being together. I'm so sorry that I made the stupidest, worst mistake of my life, and I would change what I did back then in a heartbeat if I could, but all I can say is that from the bottom of my heart I am truly sorry for what I did, and I loved you then, and I still and will always love you for the rest of my life." She pauses after this. Her tears had turned back into sobs as he was walking around the room in a daze, looking sad and still a bit angry with her for what she did. Even if he did forgive her a while ago, it still stings that she did what she did, even though he does forgive her and loves her, and it doesn't change how he feels about her in wanting to spend his life with her. He was quiet, deeply thinking about what he just heard. He was still hurting over this, and Robin noticed that he wasn't even looking at her at this moment. "Baby. I'm so sorry, I mean it. I can't really take back what I did, but I do love you. Only you. I loved you then, I loved you 3 years ago, and I love you now, with everything I got. I wish I could go back and change the outcome of what I did, but I can't, and I am truly, 100% sorry for what I did and not believing in what you told me that night on the boat, and for running away again from us." She had been sobbing, trying to get him to look at her, to say something, anything, because now she's worried that this will become something more than she wanted it to be. She simply can't lose him. It was painful after they broke up, and that breakup caused her to overthink about things and make that bad decision in choosing someone she did not love and only stayed with because she was scared and still worried about the worst possibilities that would come from another breakup. She can't lose him, in any kind of way, and that's why she chose the easy, less risky choice that she deeply regrets doing and would do over if she could. Barney had to leave the room after this. He needed to collect his thoughts and put his anger in check because this is all just too much for him. With them almost losing their baby and now this news that she knows about that gesture he did for them, mostly for her back in November. It was all just so overwhelming that he had to leave the room, causing Robin to punch the bed she was laying on, cursing that this is much more serious than she had thought. It took him 10 minutes to calm down and relax his nerves and think about what he just heard. Yes, he did forgive her, yes he does love her, but this was all too much that once he got into the hallway he broke down. Really, for the first time this afternoon he broke down, collapsing on the floor outside Robin's room. He took the 10 minutes to think about everything, and when he did he went back into the room to apologize for leaving without answering Robin. He had caused this. This time he caused her stress which he didn't want to do, so he only took 10 minutes because he didn't want this to get worse and have her be more stressed out, which could affect the baby again. I'm sorry, I left like that, I didn't mean to. All of this is so overwhelming that it all became too much for me to handle, so I freak out and left without saying what I want to say. Robin had been crying this whole time, sunk into the covers of the hospital bed, hoping that he will come back and talk to her because they can't go on like this. They can't keep holding things back from one another anymore, and they need to have better communication with each other because neither want to fight or cause any more stress than needed. They don't want this to affect their relationship or the baby's health. I know. She tells him through her sobs. Come here, she's really mad at herself for making that bad decision, but she does love him and she hopes this won't change their relationship because she can't lose him again, especially with something that was in the past. Barney went over to her when she asked. Grabbing her hand she pulls him into her, still crying and shaking over what had happened a little while ago. Hoping that things are better again, they both don't want this thing hanging over their new relationship, especially with more important things going on in their present lives. I guess I was still hung up over what happened back then, but I am over it and I did forgive you ages ago. I love you. This doesn't change how I feel about you now or how I felt about you before, because I am truly 100% happy and in love with you. And I'm so happy that we're together now and that we're about to have a baby, so let's just forget about all the things in the past and move on so we can move forward with our new lives together. After this, they laid in the bed clinging to each other, glad that this in the past finally is over and now both can move on with their baby and their new life together. It took 3 weeks for Robin to fully recover from what happened 3 weeks earlier, when she and Barney thought that they were going to lose their baby. She had only been 3 months along when she had the scare. Robin had to officially take it easy and go on bed rest right away so there wouldn't be any more problems. It was important for her to take her leave from work earlier than she had wanted, but for the sake of the baby and after a fight between her and Barney regarding their baby's health, she finally surrendered, and even though she put up her own argument for a few hours the following day after leaving the hospital, she came around, which is good for her and the baby's health. However, it was bad timing for Barney since he had been planning on proposing on top of the Worldwide News building. So, Barney had to reroute his originally plan, and instead of proposing on the rooftop of WWN he decided to make this proposal a homebound proposal, which meant that he had to do everything he originally planned on doing for this proposal in another location. The location is now in their apartment, after the last couple of months with all the stress, almost closely losing their baby and all the other things that were happening. The proposal was going to be put on hold, but when Barney saw how miserable Robin has been the last 2 weeks, since she couldn't go to work or do much of anything but stay off her feet for the remainder of her pregnancy. She could only get up and walk around the apartment for only 10 minutes, which frustrated Robin to no end, because she has always been motivated and on the go for all of her life. Her morning routines used to consist of her getting up at 7 a.m., pouring a cup of coffee and putting some of that hot liquid in her thermos so she could take it to work with her. She then would see if there was any emails or texts on her phone before taking a quick shower and then getting dressed. She was usually out the door by 8, which gave her some time to go to the corner store to get her usual morning bagel with cream cheese, and then she would head to the office. Now, however, she doesn't do much but stay in the apartment, in bed, trying to get some stay-at-home work done, since these days are usually boring. She is usually alone during the day in the apartment since Barney goes to work, so she gets bored and frustrated because she can't do anything anymore. For her, she defined herself to be a very strong motivated person who only depends on her career to be happy. But, when she became pregnant, all of her motivation stopped, and now she finds herself laying in bed at 6 in the morning trying to find a way to get comfortable in an otherwise very comfortable bed. "Hey, good morning." Barney seemed to be a bit cheery for this quite early hours. Annoyed, Robin rolled her eyes and he laughed, sitting down on the bed with his morning coffee. "Morning, why are you so cheery?" she asked, pulling the blanket over her face, annoyed that Barney is seemingly very cheery / happy for only 6 in the morning. "Sorry, I woke you, but I have to get to work and I just wanted to make sure you are okay or need anything before I go." Barney had already suited up and was about to leave for work, but like he has done in the last week since coming home from the hospital, he usually asks Robin if she needs anything or is feeling okay, since if she isn't feeling alright he would start to get worried, which would get him distracted at work, and he didn't like worrying about her. Ever since the pregnancy scare he had waited on her hand and foot. Literally, he would massage whatever hurt, rather it was her starting to ache and swell up feet or her shoulders or her aching back. He would massage anything whenever she needed him to do a massage. He would make sure since this past Monday, that before he left for work, if she needed anything or was feeling sick or feeling if something was happening to the baby. It kind of annoyed Robin. Yes, she thinks it's sweet of him to be that worried, after all she is carrying their baby and did just have a major situation regarding said baby. But, it is quite annoying because she hates being this dependent, useless person, laying in bed not doing anything. "Okay, no, I'm okay, I don't need anything," she replied in a tired voice. He then kisses her on her forehead with a smile before saying he loves her, then leaves without another word. At work these past 2 weeks Barney had been distracted enough for his boss to notice and ask if he was alright and to snap out of whatever he was thinking at that moment for a conference call. He had been trying to think of another way of proposing since he can't do his original idea. And now his original plan is scrapped, so his second option was to call a reinforcement, which is why he is currently sitting across from Lily at a lunch meeting on very short notice. "So, what was so urgent that you needed me to come meet you here?" Lily asked. Barney was nervously chewing on his sandwich without much eye contact at Lily, trying to think of a way to ask Lily of this favor he needs from her. I have this plan. I wanted to ask you if you can maybe do me a favor. I know, this might be a little out there and you might not want to do it, but this is very important and I need your help." Barney starts telling Lily just what his idea is, and by the end of the conversation Lily is quite excited, more so than he expected her to be. "Woohoo! Wow, oh my God, I can't believe it. This is perfect. Yes, I will help you and I am so happy for you, and for Robin." Lily is literally really excited about this plan for Barney's proposal. Although, how long have you had that ring and how long have you been wanting to proposal? Lily has tons of questions, but these two she really wants to know the answers to. "I have been planning this proposal for a month. Since I can't do my original plan, I decided that this would be the second best way to do the proposal. And I wanted this proposal to be the most epic, legendary proposal of all time. So, that's why I'm asking you to help me with this. I didn't want anyone to know that I was going to propose, so I planned this all out in secret, but then the pregnancy scare happened and I couldn't do it since she needs to rest and not be too worked up with emotions and stress. So, I came up with this plan and I think this will be awesome. The ring is my grandmother's, on my father's side, you know, the Canadian grandma who I never met and who had passed away before I could meet her. It's a family heirloom. I talked to my father a few weeks ago when I decided to propose and he gave me this ring." Barney explains, and Lily couldn't stop smiling the whole time. She never thought she would see the day when her two best friends were going to have a baby and were also going to get engaged and married. She's so happy that they found each other and she pats herself on the back for making this relationship happen. "So, please don't tell anyone about this, okay? I don't want anyone to know and I'm going to propose tomorrow night. I just want you to get her out of the apartment. She has been so frustrated and bored with nothing to do anymore, so I think this will work and make her feel better. Being stuck home and in bed all day for someone who is naturally so independent and is always on the move someplace is not working with the stress she's trying to prevent. Anyway, thank you so much, Lily, you are a big help, and remember not to peep about this to anyone." He gestured with his fingers over his lips and Lily does the same with her hand in agreement to keep this plan a secret. So, that was yesterday, and today Barney Stinson is hopefully going to be a newly engaged man to the love of his life, and he hopes that this will go smoothly and it will be something to be remembered for the rest of their lives. Barney is looking all around the living room, making sure that everything's in place and everything looks good, because in just a half hour Robin is going to walk into this scene, into their apartment, and hopefully by the end of this night they will be engaged. This had to be absolutely perfect, nothing can go wrong, and he knows, he is confident that she will say yes to this proposal and they will be engaged. He looked around and smiled to himself. Yep, he thought this is awesome, he can't wait to propose. It's something he's been wanting to do for 2.5 years and knew he should have made a proposal to her that night on the boat in November. But, after everything that has happened, after being apart for a long time and both living in so much pain and denial for years, they are finally about to get engaged. Lily promised to end this day trip with Robin at 6 p.m. and now it's 5:45, so they should be here any minute. Man, he's so nervous, he's never been this nervous in his life, but he is absolutely sure that this will be both a wonderful surprise for her and a wonderful, epic, legendary, but hopefully perfect night that will last forever, in their memories and in their lifetime together. Lily had promised Barney that she would help him out with his proposal. She was so excited about her two best friends getting engaged that she jumped up, literally jumped out of her seat when Barney told her he was going to propose to Robin. Barney asked Lily to get Robin out of the apartment for a few hours to distress and have a little girl time together so Barney could set up his proposal. Barney had thought about his proposal for weeks. He wanted to do something completely different, but when Robin had to go on an early bed rest, his plan had changed. He had wanted to originally propose on the rooftop of WWN, which is Robin's secret favorite place to go to get away from the world and her problems. Ever since Robin started at WWN, she liked going to this place to clear her head and figure things out. In the last half year, Robin had found herself going to the roof a lot. First it was to deal with her unresolved feelings for Barney, then it was her issues with Sandy Rivers, who was being more of a pain in the ass than usual. Then it was trying to figure out how to fix the problems she had found herself in with Ted, and of course Patrice was being more annoying as usual. But, then she had to go on bed rest and Barney had to change his location for his proposal. He decided to propose in the apartment, which has become a home for Robin since she moved in January. I guess that was everything I own, Robin said as she put down the last box with most of her books and heavier things in it. At this point in her pregnancy, she had just finally cleared up everything between her, Ted and Barney, and then she had found out about just how upset Barney really was about the whole choosing Kevin thing. But, after that was cleared up and she wasn't under so much stress, things started to look more positive in Robin's life. Despite Barney being still upset with and almost losing their baby, things did look better for Robin and for Barney. They are more happier now than they have been in a couple of months, and this is the perfect time to propose. Yeah. Barney took the box out of Robin's hands and placed it with the other boxes that laid on the floor near the stormtrooper. The whole area by the window is now full of all of Robin's things. The boxes are all lined up from heaviest to lightest. Welcome home, he said, walking over to her a little more, pulling her into a hug and a kiss before pulling away but still keeping his arms around her waist, which is still not showing much of a sign of a baby. Home. That sounds legend, wait for it, awesome. Day. Ozdari. They said in unison, laughing and kissing again in their embrace. It really does sound Ozdari. He smiles against her lips. More happier than ever to finally have Robin Scherbatsky as his official roommate. After Marshall, Lily and Ted left, Barney and Robin had the apartment all to themselves. It had taken them an extra week to actually do the moving since Ted wasn't talking to them. So, they had to put off the move until things were fixed between the three friends. But, once things were clear and Ted stopped sulking and being mad at Barney and Robin and how incredibly stupid they were for sleeping together, the friends all talked and cleared the air between them. After that, things went back to normal again with the gang. Ted agreed to help Robin and Barney with their move, even if he was upset about what he had learned about Robin being pregnant and being back together with Barney and what has been going on between them 4 months. I love you, Robin Scherbatsky. And that is when Barney put his plan to propose to Robin in motion. Love you too, Barney Stinson, she says, giggling lightly against his lips. Barney knew exactly how he would propose, and with Lily's help he had gotten Robin out of the apartment so he could prepare for his grand proposal. Now, the plan was to decorate the apartment with baby things. They don't know the baby's sex yet, so he used yellows, greens, light purples, pinks and blues as the color schemes for the proposal. He had ordered a few items online in the last couple of weeks, things like a dresser, crib, mobile with animals on it, towels, bibs, a rocking chair, some wallpaper that is green and yellow with ducks and birds on them, and baby blankets. He had decorated the living room with balloons, streamers, a sign that says it's a boy or girl on it which was custom made by him, rose petals that are yellow, red and white which are scattered on the floor from the front door to the room that is now going to be for the baby, which was the guest bedroom, or as he used to use it for just an extra room to put more of his suits in because his closet got too crowded with suits. Now, his closet is also Robin's closet, so he had to get rid of some of his old suits he doesn't wear anymore to charity. He gave Lily 3 hours to use while she's out with Robin, and he's setting up for his ultimate proposal. This proposal was going to be awesome. He knew this was going to be the most remembered moment of their lives, and he hoped everything would go smoothly. It was now a half hour before Robin would be back home. Lily had taken her out shopping for the baby, although Barney told Lily that she didn't need to take her baby shopping since he already had bought things for the baby which are going to be revealed tonight. Lily had the best plan to take Robin to look for baby items, mostly clothing and things that are needed, even if it wasn't necessary to buy anything right now since she's only a few weeks pregnant and she isn't even showing. And then they would eat a late lunch and chat for a while as Barney prepares for his grand proposal. Barney had heard the front door unlock and a key opening the door. The light was slightly dimmed in the living room as Robin entered the apartment. Barney was in the bedroom, waiting for Robin to find him since he had left a note by the front door for Robin to read as she steps inside of the apartment. Robin's eyes grew wide as she stepped inside the apartment to see that the living room was darkened a little due to the light, rose petals scattered on the floor which extended towards the bedroom. Although it wasn't their bedroom, the flowers had taken her. The note was by the door to her right as she entered in the front door. She notices the piece of paper laying beside her and picked it up. It read, "The Robin and the baby." On top of the paper. Step 1, get Robin's Sherbatsky back. Tell Robin that you still have feelings for her by telling her you want to try again in a relationship. Step 2, be angry with Robin. Because she didn't choose you when you told her you wanted to get back together. And be mad at her until she apologizes for turning you down without even so much as a heads up. Step 3, Robin's unexpectedly pregnant with your child. Be there for her when she needs you the most and cater to her every need and want because you still with all of your heart and soul care about this woman in your life. Step 4, go to a baby store and pick out items. Robin will no doubt start to cry when you show her an outfit with a Canadian maple leaf on it and pretend you love that it represents the country you hate even though the woman you love is from there. Step 5, be by Robin's side when there is a falling out with the gang. Particularly due to Ted's reaction to you being unexpectedly pregnant with your baby, and he might still have some unresolved feelings for you. Step 6, ask Robin if she would like to move into the fortress of Barnitude. Ask Robin to move in with you because you are serious about being together and being a family with her. Step 7, get into a fight over Robin's choice back in November. Get really mad at Robin for making her choice. You have had these unresolved feelings over them for months because the woman you're in love with didn't want to be with you and doesn't love you. Step 8, help Robin fix the problems between her, myself and Ted. Get really angry with Ted for being childish over making your choice in being with me. Tell him that Robin has been really upset over what went down between you and Ted, but let you and Ted work it out for yourselves. Step 9, ask Lily for your help. Ask for Lily's help in getting Robin out of the apartment for a few hours so you can have a relaxing day out of the apartment that is stress-free. Step 10, tell absolutely nobody about your plan that will go down once you return to the apartment. Tell nobody but Lily that even though she doesn't keep secrets, she's your best friend and only wants the best for you in order for you to be happy. Step 11, set up the apartment. Once Robin is out of the apartment, begin to set up the apartment by decorating the entire apartment with baby items, flowers, steamers, balloons and this piece of paper for the ultimate surprise for the woman you love. Step 12, Robin sees the paper. Robin reads the piece of paper and begins to wonder what is going on. Step 13, Robin reads this step and walks towards the bedroom. Robin takes one glance around the room, sighs and goes towards the room following the scattered path of flowers on the floor. Step 14, Robin sees the door to the room. Robin sees the baby nameplate on the door that is closed. It's currently unnamed because the baby we are having doesn't have a name yet and we don't know the sex either. Step 15, Robin opens the door to see me standing on the other side. Robin opens the door slowly to find myself on the other side of the door inside the room waiting for you to find me. Step 16, Robin realizes what's about to happen. Robin finds you down on one knee next to the brand new crib you just ordered in secret. Barney smiles at Robin and Robin starts to tear up as she drops the paper in her hand to the floor next to a giant stuffed bear that he also bought online. Robin moves towards a kneeling Barney and Barney starts to talk as she walks slowly towards him. Robin's Sherbatsky, I have thought and thought about this moment for weeks. I've literally thought of everything I could to prepare for this moment, but originally I had wanted this to happen in a different place, but due to what had recently happened with your pregnancy and the baby I redirected the location of this proposal. But, this is a way better place to ask this question because this is our place. This is our home, and I wanted for this to be perfect in a perfect place. So, with that Robin's Sherbatsky, I love you so much and I have for a long, long time. I am so happy that I have you in my life because without you I don't know where my life would be right now or where it will go. You are the only woman I've ever felt like making that big scary commitment with. You are the only woman I've ever imagined having this life with, together. And, now that we are together after everything we have been through and almost becoming parents, you are the only one I want to have this committed life with because I love you. He pauses as she looks down at him teary-eyed and speechless. Will you do me the honor of becoming my wife? He was going to say will you marry me but decided to go with this instead because it's a more real and honest part of this speech, something that he knows will be the better way of doing this. Robin had been speechless without much movement, but when she smiles down at him and says yes in a soft and honest voice, all the anger she had felt when she read the Robin and baby paper left her thoughts and all she did was say yes because all she's ever wanted for a long time has come true. I love you too. She tells him after he kisses her and slips the new huge diamond ring on her finger, glowing with happiness, that she, Robin Charles Sherbatsky Jr., is engaged. She wasn't expecting this to ever happen, but the love of her life had just proposed to her in the most epic, legendary way ever. When did you get all of this stuff? Robin asks, looking around the room that is now the nursery for the baby to see all the stuff Barney bought for the baby, surprised that this room is pretty much done with getting the things they need for the baby. Last week, I ordered it online and it was all delivered yesterday. I wanted to surprise you with it. He smiles, thankful that she likes that he bought all this stuff for the baby and didn't tell her. Well, I love it all, she says, sitting down on the new rocking chair. Barney walks over to Robin, crouching in front of her, taking her hands in his. I'm so happy, Robin, I'm so excited to be a father, he tells her, giving a kiss to her hands and smiling brightly. He truly is happy. For the first time in his life he's fulfilled and ready for what the future will hold for them. Me too, she replies, smiling back at him and running her fingers through his very blonde hair. And, they are, for the first time in months, the couple is officially ready for what's next for them and are excited to become parents. They never thought they would be here, happy, healthy, in love and engaged and about to have a baby. After everything that has happened in the last few years, in particularly the last 3 months, things for them have been getting better and things truly do look up for them. This isn't the end of this, it's just setting up what will come next for this story. There is a lot more to tell. We still have to get to the wedding and that's not for another year, so I'm thinking about ending this at ch20 if it goes that far, but I have a lot still planned for this story and I hope you are still reading this. I'm still loving writing this because it's light-hearted and fun. Be/are together forever in this, they are a family in this, and I might make a sequel to this but not for a while, so I'll just be sticking to this story for now. Also, don't be too worried about Ted, I have something planned for him too, but not for a while. He isn't hung up on Robin anymore though, so she and Barney don't have anything to worry about with him. I want to show Ted with some character development so he is no longer pining over Robin, who doesn't have any feelings for him at all. This chapter takes place after the proposal. I hope you liked my idea for the proposal. I thought it was a good way for Barney to propose using the idea of the playbook and the Robin play. underscore 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 underscore. It's only been 24 hours since they got engaged and they hadn't moved at all from their bed or the position they are in. Luckily, it was the weekend and neither of them have to work, although Robin did have to work this night. However, she already called in sick for the night, so another anchor would take her place since she doesn't want to leave this bed. They had gone the whole night with either having sex, talking and trying to catch their breathing or eating. Barney did get up to answer the door to get the food they ordered both times they ordered food. Now that they are engaged and about to become parents, the next thing Barney had to do was start to go shopping, and not for suits. They needed baby supplies, baby food and food for them. Barney had already bought all the other baby things they needed, but they still don't know the sex of the baby, so Barney also needs to paint the nursery sometime between now and 5 months, but he has time to do all that. But he does need to get off his butt and get some food for him and Robin. In the aftermath of their engagement, there is also another thing they needed to do. So, now that we're engaged, we should probably tell our friends. Robin says. Her hand is resting on his chest, rubbing it soothingly in circles, her lips playfully kissing him on his neck and smiling. The smile on her face hasn't left her face since the night before, and in the glow of her being engaged there are things to do other than staying in bed and not moving. If they could, they would stay like this forever and never leave this bed or this apartment. Yeah, well, Lily already knows, so she probably already told Marshall. He pauses, smiling and closing his eyes as Robin teasingly kisses his neck, causing him to lose his train of thought for a moment. Or, he says, turning his face to Robin, who paused her kisses to look at her fiancé. That sounds wonderful to her. He kisses her fast and passionately on the lips, and she rolled herself on top of him, kissing back. This time her kisses were not playful but more sinful. And they didn't talk about anything else for the next day. Good morning, beautiful. Barney had gotten up early. He knew he had to go to the store to get some things for the house, so as Robin slept soundly and happily, he went out, hoping not to wake her up when it was only 7 in the morning. He walked to the store 2 blocks away from his apartment building and mentally remembered the list of things he needed to get because he has no food, and now that Robin's pregnant, she needs all the food she can eat. Luckily, he got back to the apartment while Robin was still asleep, so she didn't know he was gone, which was good for him because he didn't want her to think anything bad happened because he left the apartment. Morning, she says, smiling lightly as Barney puts a tray down on the nightstand and handing her a cup of coffee as she slides herself up against the bedpost and taking it carefully in her hands. What's all this? She asks after taking a quick sip on her hot coffee, then putting it down on the tray still laying on the nightstand. Nothing, I thought you would be hungry after our night and a half together. Plus, I really had to go shopping because I have nothing in the fridge, and with you pregnant I thought I should buy some things. I didn't, however, buy everything we needed, just some stuff for the day and maybe tomorrow too, but I felt guilty for not having any food for you in the apartment. After being cooped up in bed for more than 24 hours, Barney thought that Robin would be hungry after what they just did, so it was more of a practice run to the store if he needed to do that when the baby comes. You didn't have to do that. I would have found something to eat if I was hungry, but I'm not really right now. Robin picks up her mug with her coffee and drinks it more quicker than just sipping it. Nah, it's fine, I had to go to the store anyway, plus we really don't have any food in the apartment. He tells her, sitting on the bed in front of her. Robin sipping on her coffee and is quiet for a few minutes before Barney talks again. So, back to what we were discussing before you interrupted my train of thought with your magic lips. Robin laughs lightly at that, then puts her cup down on the table again. Right, we need to tell our friends, but since Lily already knows, Marshall would likely know. That leaves Ted. Barney nods. He had been thinking about telling people about their engagement while out at the store, and he knows what he wants to do about telling Ted and his family, followed by her family as well. Everyone should know that they are engaged. Yeah, I was thinking about that. We should tell him together. Actually, we should get all 3 of them together to tell them, even though Lily already knows. They are silent for a second, just looking at each other, thinking about what Barney just said. I think that will be good. Robin responds a couple of seconds later after thinking about it. It would be good for their friends to know about their engagement together at the same time. Good, so should we call them and tell them we want to talk to them later? Barney asked, getting up from the bed followed by Robin. He walked towards the bedroom door and stood in the door frame for a second, then turned to Robin, who was in back of him. Yeah, how about we all meet at McLaren's at 6? I really don't want to leave yet, but I do have to go to work right after we meet them, but I think McLaren's would be good tonight. Robin follows Barney out of the bedroom and in the living room. Barney dials Marshall and Lily to tell them to meet them first, hoping that they are free later this day. They walk over to the couch and sit down beside each other as Barney tries to contact their friends. Robin puts her hand on Barney's leg, rubbing it a little to make sure he doesn't freak out during this call. This should be the easier part of the last few months, but for some reason they are both nervous to tell their friends that they are engaged. This is huge news for them, but they hope their friends will be happy for them. Hey, Lil, it's me. Barney starts as Lily quickly picks up the phone of the first ring. Please, tell me you're engaged. Lily said, shouting through the phone, which Robin heard sitting next to Barney. She smiled to herself and looked at the new sparkling diamond ring on her finger, then looked at Barney talking to Lily. Yes, Lily, we are. Please calm down, everything went as planned and we are engaged. We just didn't want to tell you yet, but we are and we're happy. Barney tells her. Lily calms her excitement, although she shouts through the phone, but not as loud as she first did. Yeah, I'm so happy for you guys. I knew you two would finally get your relationship right. You two are meant to be, I knew it. Lily shouts, this time in a more mellow tone of voice, happy for her two best friends' engagement. Thanks, Lil, but we called because we want to meet you later at McLaren's to celebrate. Robin needs to work later, so we won't spend too much time with you, but we want to meet at 6, if that's okay with you and Marshall. Barney could already know that Lily was say, but he still wanted to make sure if she and Marshall would be at the bar later. Yes, we will be there. I'm so happy for you guys, see you later. Lily says, letting out a shouting scream of excitement, then hanging up. Well, that went well. Barney laughs lightly and shakes his head at Lily's reaction to their engagement. Well, that was the easier one of our friends. Robin says, they both agreed to tell everyone together and that's what they are going to do, but Robin's still unsure about Ted's reaction due to what had just happened between him, herself and Barney recently. Don't worry about Ted, he said he's happy for us and I believe him. Although, he's still not sure about Ted himself right now. He knows that Ted will react either happy for them or not be, or be happy for them for a minute then not be, so that's what he's worried about, his consistency regarding Robin and his feelings for her. I don't know, but let's hope so. I don't want to go through what we just went through with him again. I can't go through that again, especially with how delicate my pregnancy is right now. Robin's worried about Ted's reaction to her engagement to Barney, but she knows how inconsistent he is when it comes to her and trying to win her over. She's with Barney, she is going to marry him and are going to have a baby with him. She isn't going to change her mind and leave Barney for him, and if he still thinks that, then it's likely they won't be able to be friends. I know, I understand, I do have my concerns too when it comes to Ted and his feelings for you, but I know you love me and that makes me less worried about your side of things. For the first time in months, Barney feels at ease with everything that had gone on with Ted, with Robin, with the baby, with everything, but after everything that's happened and everything that's going to happen, he's finally at peace and is hopeful of his future with Robin and their baby. Look, if he does still have unresolved feelings towards me, then that's on him, but I am not going to change my mind. I'm with you, I love you and I want to marry you. I don't have any leftover feelings whatsoever for Ted. They are looking at each other serious, they both know that this is it for them. They are together and nothing's going to change that, no matter what happens down the road. Robin loves Barney and nothing's going to change her mind about being with him and being a family with him, because it's always been Barney for her and she knows it and she hopes he knows it too. I know. Barney says, wrapping his arms around her shoulder more tighter than it has been since he's had it resting behind her on the couch to move her a little more closer to him so he can kiss her. Look, whatever happens with Ted, I'm here for you and I know you love me and I love you, okay? Robin nods and kisses him once again before breaking apart. Okay, we should get dressed, it's almost 11. They break apart and get up from the couch. Barney takes her hand and pulls her off the couch and into his arms so that they are standing as they embrace in a more proper position. Yep, we should. She says in a flirty tone. He kisses her once more, then breaks the kiss to bend down and kneel before her so he could be level with her belly. She's still only 4 months pregnant and still not showing any sign of being pregnant, but as he touches her belly, he feels her stomach a bit harder and it looks more rounder now than just a few days ago. Hey, there you in there, I'm your daddy. I'm always going to be here for you and for you wonderful mom. Okay, I hope you both know that because I won't be like my father even though we've patched things up, I won't ever leave you or your mom, and I hope you both know that, okay? He kisses her belly and she giggles lightly down at Barney with her hands playing with his hair. She realizes that this is what she always secretly wanted but never truly let herself want it. She never knew she wanted this life. She would have never thought that she would be here today, with the man she loves, engaged and pregnant, but she's finally at peace herself and happy because she knows this is the life she wants and the man she wants to spend the rest of her life with. I'm always going to be here, no matter what, I hope you know that. He tells Robin as he gets back up standing before her now. I do. I love you so much, I hope you know that too. She really doesn't want another life, this is her life, this is what she wants and who she wants to be with, and nothing's going to change that. I do. Hey, we already said the I do's part of the wedding, so we can just go with "and now you may kiss the bride," Barney teasingly says in flirty but light tone of voice before kissing her again, this time with more force to it. They didn't get dressed for another 3 hours. So, about Ted. 3 hours later they are totally spent from their lovemaking and trying to calm themselves down to talk between breathing. Yes, we should call him and tell him to meet us later. Robin replies as she snuggles closer to him, his arm resting comfortably in back of her head and her hand rubbing circles this time on his abs. Within the last 36 hours there was no need to go to the gym because they had their workout to last the whole week. But they like this feeling. It's the only feeling in the world to be this intimate with the one you love and feel comfortable with them lying beside you. That's how they feel about each other, just being here in bed is home to them. Barney picks up his cell phone and dials Ted's speed dial number and waits for him to pick up. So, remember what we talked about? Barney asks. They were about to head out the door to meet the gang at McLaren's to officially tell them that they are engaged. After spending most of the morning in bed, then half of the afternoon in bed, the happy couple finally found themselves in the shower, getting ready to go out for the evening. After a shower, they quickly get dressed with smiles on their faces, happy that their lives is finally at peace and they are newly engaged and ready to spend their lives together. It was earlier this afternoon as they laid in bed after another go-around of sex, then talking. It's been that way for 3 days since they got engaged. They haven't left each other's side since and are basking in the afterglow of being happily engaged. But, after a while it was getting late because they were cutting it close to the time they were supposed to meet the gang. It was now almost 5:30 as they head out the door. Yes. I remember. I remember you kissing my neck in that right spot you seem to always know I like and distracting my thoughts. But, yes, I remember the plan. She tells him, teasingly playing with the knot in his tie. He had put on a new tie for this evening. It was a red tie with white stripes. Robin had bought this tie for him as a birthday gift a couple of years ago. It was something they were looking at when they went to this clothing shop downtown when they were dating, well, secretly dating back in the summer of '09. She knew he was admiring the tie and liked it but didn't buy it, so she bought it for his birthday. The birthday that came right after they broke up and she was not in the right place in her life. The aftermath of that breakup made her unravel into some shell of a person she used to be, and it caused a lot of heartbreak for her. But, she was trying to get over that heartbreak by buying that tie for him. Even if she was in pain over the breakup, she knew he wanted that tie and she knew his birthday was coming up. She had bought the tie before they broke up and didn't get to give it to him while they were dating that year, but she gave it to him that Christmas instead. Hey, I was just getting my payback from your magic lips earlier this morning. She laughs, but it's true, they haven't been able to control themselves after they became engaged. Yes, I remember now, let's go, we're already late as it is. She says in the same teasing tone she just used a minute ago and pushed him out the door. They get to McLaren's just in time. It was 5 minutes before 6 when they arrived in front of their favorite bar. It's been quite a fun 3 days, but it's finally time to tell their friends that they are engaged after not talking to anyone or leaving their apartment since getting engaged. Hey, guys. Robin says, standing in front of her friends at their usual booth. While Robin goes over to the booth, Barney gets them drinks. For himself the usual scotch and for Robin ginger ale. Then he joins Robin and his friends at the booth smiling. As he came over to the table, Lily jumps up with a bottle of sparkling cider. Woo-hoo-woo-hoo-hoo. Lily yells out, so happy and excited that her friends are finally engaged. She then popped the bottle of sparkling cider that was underneath the table to surprise Robin with it. I see they already know. Barney not so shockingly shakes his head but with a smile. Lily puts the bottle down on the table and gets up from the table. Now, Lily is also pregnant too, so neither of the women can have liquor, so Lily and the guys thought it would be a better option than wine or champagne. Lily hugs her two friends with a huge smile plastered on her face, happy that her friends are finally engaged. Congratulations guys, we are all really happy for you. Marshall says, smiling and also hugging both Robin first then Barney. Thanks, guys, we are happy too. Barney replied, hugging Marshall back. Luckily, every one of their friends showed up, including Ted, which they had talked to earlier this day. Ted didn't know about their engagement until this evening when Lily let it slip that Barney and Robin are engaged, so he then realized why he is here to meet them. But Ted is happy for his friends and has some news to share of his own. Yeah, I'm really happy for you too, congratulations. Ted said, after Lily and Marshall said what they had to say. Ted got up from the booth and let Barney and Robin take the side of the booth he was sitting in, then pulled up a chair to sit at the end of the table. Wow, you went all out, didn't you? Robin says, sitting down in the booth, impressed by how quick their friends are to celebrate this news. It was all Lily's idea, we even ordered some food for all of us, I hope you don't mind us ordering for you. Marshall tells them. It was Lily who wanted to surprise them with the cider and food, that's how excited she is for Barney and Robin's engagement. That's fine. Thanks Lily. Robin smiles over to her friend and Lily smiles back. So, what's new with you guys? Robin asks, wanting to know what's going on in her friend's life since she's been cooped up in the apartment for 3 awesome days. Well, Marshall and I are getting ready for baby, but he's so paranoid that something's going to happen with me or the baby, and he's constantly doing things to protect me, like swaddling me in my sleep. Lily's been having the best night's sleep of her life, but it's still annoying how Marshall's been acting lately with all his concerns with the baby. Hey, I'm only trying to be prepared, that's all, there's nothing wrong with wanting everything to go smoothly as the weeks and months get close to us having this little one. Marshall says, rubbing Lily's stomach. They smile at each other quickly, then turn back to their friends. And, what about you, Mosby? Robin asks, wanting to know what's going on in Ted's life since the last time they talked and saw each other. Well. He pauses, then smiles. I met someone. He finishes and everyone starts to say something about it. Classic Schmosby. Oh, no Ted, don't tell me this is another yet the one. Oh, Ted, why didn't you tell me? Who is this person? Okay, guys relax, but I invited her to come meet us tonight, so please just be cool, okay? Ted said, annoyed at his friend's responses to his news. And, well, look at that, she just got here. Ted gets up from his chair and walks over to the entrance of McLaren's to greet the girl he was just talking about. You guys, I would like you to meet Tracy. He tells the others, smiling as he introduces the girl of the minute to his friend, who all looked at each other, either rolling their eyes or shaking their head, but then they all looked at Ted's new girl of the moment and gave her their full attention. So, how did you two meet? Barney was the first to ask, wanting to know more about Ted's new woman and how they met. Ted pulls over another chair and he and Tracy sits down, then he starts to tell the story of how he met Tracy. Wow, I didn't expect that kind of story, but it's nice and kind of sweet. Lily says, finding the story of how Ted met Tracy sweet. Well, I had wondered about the umbrella and where I had put it for years, but I never found it until one day it just showed up in my apartment. It's weird, but thanks to Ted I got my umbrella back. Tracy says, she really thought she lost it, but it was Ted who had it all this time, but she's glad she has it back now after so long thinking it was lost forever. And, I finally found that person who owned the umbrella. But, I'm so glad that we met, because if it wasn't for what happened with me, Robin and Barney, I wouldn't have met Tracy. So, thanks guys, you really changed my life for the better. Ted had gone on a bit of a downward spiral after his breaking point, which was when he found out about Robin and Barney being together, but after some time he had met Tracy unexpectedly on the train coming back from Westchester. Well, you're welcome, Ted. I'm glad you and Tracy finally met. I totally forgot about that umbrella, although I remember using it once when we lived together. After meeting, Ted told Tracy about the recent breakdown he went through in his life and about Robin, but soon he realized that he was holding on to something that was never his, because Robin was clearly meant to meet Barney all this time, and when he realized that she and Barney had gotten back together and were going to have a baby together, it all hit him that his life is going nowhere. It's why he latched on to Robin, and now he knows it was pretty pathetic of him to keep holding out for Robin to come around someday. But, if the things with Robin and Barney too didn't happen, he wouldn't have met Tracy, and now he feels like his life is going in the right direction and he's finally happy because he met Tracy. And, surprisingly, we have a lot in common too, Ted points out. He and Tracy had talked for a month now, and this past weekend they had gone on their first date. That's when they discovered more about each other and realized how much they have in common, and Tracy told Ted about losing her boyfriend Max so suddenly when she was a little younger. But, Ted is so grateful that Tracy came into his life when his life was not in good place. That's great, I'm really happy for you, Ted. Robin says, looking at him smiling, glad to see that Ted is happy, and she thinks this Tracy is good for him. She quite likes her already. She seems really nice and seems pretty cool as a person. Can I talk to you, for a sec? Ted asks. He wanted to talk to Robin in private because for one he hasn't seen her in over a month and he wanted to tell her something he's been wanting to for a while now. Sure. Robin gets up from the booth after giving a quick kiss on the lips to Barney and walks with Ted over to the bar area to see what he wanted to talk about. Meanwhile, the others all sat around and wanted to get to know more about Tracy, cause it looks like she might stick around a while and they all seem to like her already. So, tell us more about yourself, Tracy. Marshall had been quiet for a bit, but he found the story about Ted and Tracy meeting really sweet, and for once he sees his friend looking happy, which he thinks is great for a fresh start after everything that had happened a couple of months ago. What do you want to know? Tracy asked, smiling lightly, ready to tell them whatever they want to know. What do you do for fun? The questions started out light-hearted, but as they went on they all asked something and found out quite a few things about Tracy's life, including some of the more darker points of her life. At the bar, Ted is talking to Robin, and it's the first time they really talked since they had that falling out and things weren't great between them. So, what's up, Ted? Robin asks, wondering what Ted wants to talk about. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything that had happened between us. I was in a really bad place and I took it out on you and Barney. But, I'm sorry for putting my problems onto you. I didn't mean to cause so much drama when I see how happy you and Barney are. I am in a better place now, but I'm really sorry for what happened between us. He says, after a while he realized that he really needed a change in his life and was trying to find it in the wrong place, but he finally found it in Tracy. Even when he wasn't looking for someone, he finally did find something he had been searching for most of his adult life. It's water under the bridge. Ted, I forgave you a while ago. You didn't need to apologize. We are friends. I understand you were going through some stuff. I didn't blame you for anything what had happened between us. And, it's true, Robin really blamed herself for the mess that had happened with them, but everything is better now because of it and they are both happy. Well, I do apologize. I knew you were going through some stuff last year and I didn't think about asking you what happened or how you've been. I only thought of myself and what I wanted more than thinking that you were in love with Barney the whole time, and I didn't see it before it was too late to realize it. But, I am really truly sorry for putting my problems onto you when you were going through a lot of things yourself. He says. Ted had gone through a lot in the last months and came to realize that everything that Robin has with Barney made him jealous, and realized that he was getting nowhere near what Robin has with Barney, and now he understands that he was coming between something that was in front of his very eyes and didn't realize it until he had that meltdown a few months ago. Well, I accept your apology. Tracy's a really nice girl, don't screw it up, Schmusby. She points at him very sternly but smiles as she does it and he laughs. I will try not to. I really like Tracy. It's only been a month but things are going really well so far. He says honestly, for the first time in a long time he thinks his life is heading in the right direction and meeting Tracy was a good start of it changing. I'm happy for you, you deserve to be happy. Robin says, smiling. They hug and she says, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have met Barney, and I'm grateful that I have the life I have now after so long not wanting it. I have everything I never knew I wanted. She says with a whisper in his ear as they break apart from the hug. And, if it wasn't for you I wouldn't have met Tracy. And, it's true, if they never met she wouldn't have met her soulmate and he wouldn't have met Tracy, who would become his one true love and the person he's always searched for and almost never found. They walk back to the booth a few minutes later and the rest are all chatting together and laughing, which Ted thinks is a good sign of them all liking Tracy. "So, what's going on here?" Ted asks, sitting back in the chair next to Tracy. "We were just getting to know more about Tracy." "Ted, we all like her, don't screw it up. I really want another girl in this group and Tracy's a really great person to have around." Lily responds, smiling, happy that Tracy came into their little group. She really likes her already and wants her to stick around. They even wear the same sizes and have the same taste in clothes. "I will try not to." Ted says the same thing he said to Robin a couple of minutes ago and made a mental note to not screw this new relationship up because it's clear his friends all like Tracy and he's starting to fall in love with her the more they are together. "Good, I really do like Tracy, she's pretty cool." Lily says, smiling, glad that Ted is finally looking happy and she really wants to keep Tracy around because she really likes her a lot. And, after that, Robin and Barney both had to go because Robin had to go to work on this night and it would be the last time she would be working for a while because she and Barney decided that she will do an early maternity leave due to her tough pregnancy. "Well, guys, we have to get going. I really need to get to work. It's my last night there for a while," Robin says. Her and Barney start to get up from the booth and Lily stands as well, with her belly being as big as it is and her light bladder. She wanted to say goodbye before going to the bathroom. "Okay, again, I'm so happy for you guys, you really seem happy," Lily says as she hugs Robin. Robin is showing slightly but Lily is quite big, they still touched stomachs. They pull away and Robin says, "Thank you for everything, Lily. The proposal was so beautiful, I never saw it coming." It's the first time Robin has gotten to really thank Lily for helping Barney with his proposal to her, but she is still over the moon about it. She can't stop smiling and thinking about it even 3 days later. "No problem, I really had nothing to do with it, it was all Barney." Lily confesses, it's true, she was only helping him propose. It was all Barney's idea and he planned it all himself a couple of months before proposing, so it's great that he came up with such a great legendary way to propose. "Okay, well, we gotta go, see you guys soon," Barney announced after he also hugged Lily. Then she ran slowly off to the bathroom. "Bye, it was really nice to meet you, Tracy," Robin says. Tracy stands up from her seat and gives a quick hug to her new friend. "It was nice to meet you too. I heard a lot about you from Ted." "I heard a lot about both of you to know and share for a lifetime. Ted just goes on and on about you since I met him," Tracy says. They smile, glad that Ted is finally in a good place and Tracy is in their lives. Robin really does like her. She hopes they can hang out sometime soon. "We really should get going. Bye you guys, see you soon," Robin announced. Then she and Barney really did leave. "Do you still want to know the sex of the baby?" Barney asks. They are sitting in the waiting room waiting to be called in for this doctor's appointment. Robin is now 6 months along in her pregnancy. So far the last couple of months had been going well for her. And, for Barney and their relationship as well. With all the drama at the start of the pregnancy and the pregnancy scare, things have been going well with her pregnancy since going on bed rest 4 months ago. The last checkup she had was over a month ago when the doctor told her that she can be a little more active in her daily life. Since going on bed rest, she had been less stressed but more bored and tired, more so than usual. So, when the doctor told her she can move about more and not stay confined at home and in bed, the first thing she did was go out for a girls' day with Lily. The last time she did that, it was the day that she and Barney got engaged. Even though Barney was worried about her being too overly stressed, he was fine with her doing as she wants to do because he knew that she wasn't particularly happy with staying in bed all day or at home. But Robin took the opportunity to be a little bit more active in her daily routines. Now that she isn't working but doing some paperwork at home, she's more upbeat and happy that she doesn't have to stay indoors much anymore. It's now 6 months into her pregnancy. After taking the much-needed rest she was put on due to the beginning of her pregnancy being stressed out due to the situations she was in. She is finally at peace not only with Ted and her friends, but also with her pregnancy. At first, she was really scared about what this would mean for the gang and for her relationship with Barney, but surprisingly her and Barney have been happily engaged and happily preparing for their baby's arrival. When Lily asked Robin to go out for a spa day, she jumped at the chance to go. The two pregnant ladies had the full package that went with women being pregnant. With all the stress and almost losing her baby. Robin really needed to relax, so that's how they ended up having a whole day with Lily. There were no phones, no internet, no drama, no relationships, no worries, no stressful situations, and no being bored being cooped up in her apartment all day and all night. She couldn't do much of what she did before getting pregnant, like she couldn't go out to bars, mostly McLaren's, for a drink anymore. She couldn't go to work, instead she's working lightly at home during the weekdays. She couldn't really enjoy sex much either, which for her was more important in her relationship than worrying about other things. But the doctor told her to not do too much strenuous activities after she had the pregnancy scare. But 3 months after that scare, she's feeling more and more horny. Anytime Barney does something nice for her, or looks handsome in a suit, or gives her that look where his eyebrow leaps up knowing that he wants to have sex, even though she couldn't. Anything he does makes her hot for him, and it has been driving her mad for 2 months. But now she thinks maybe since things are going smoothly with her pregnancy, that maybe they can actually start to have sex again. The last time they had sex was the night of their engagement, but that was a slow-paced time since she had just recovered from the scare. However, they think they are ready again and hope to ask the doctor this very question when they see him today. It's fine, you need to relax more anyway, so going to the spa is a great idea. I mean, let's face it, you're bored and have not much to do anymore since you have to stay indoors and in bed most of the days now. It will be good for you to go out and enjoy a day of relaxation with Lily. She has been stressed lately too, with Marshall's constant worries and annoying things he has been doing to make Lily annoyed and frustrated. You both need to distress and relax, especially you, since I know it hasn't been easy staying home all day and doing nothing. Robin had just told Barney that Lily had asked her if she wanted to go to a spa for the weekend. It wasn't too far away, it was just in Westchester, but they both needed to relax and distress from the crazy things that are happening recently. Yeah, but I'm still worried that something's going to happen with the baby. If I go on this trip, I'm just going to keep worrying about things, and it's going to make me more stressed. I don't want to overthink things and get more stressed out. She tells him, since they got engaged, Barney and Robin have been trying to find ways to keep busy and active, even though they can't really have sex, and they really do, because it helps to distress things. It always helped when they got into petty fights when they were dating before. But since they can't have sex, they had to find other things to keep them entertained. They had stayed home, and he would either cook a meal for them or order in, curl up on the couch and watch the big screen TV. They would watch movies or play board games, but even a board game would make them want each other, so they stopped that and decided to just figure out some way of trying to keep their hands off each other. They mostly just kissed, made out and feel each other up, but they wouldn't go as far as full-on sex, and it drove both of them mad. Don't worry about it. If you need to call me, just call or text if anything goes wrong. I think this trip will be good for you. I get you're worried, but things have been going good with the pregnancy, and the baby is almost fully developed and have been quite active lately itself. So, go and have a good weekend. If you need me, I'm just a phone call away. He's really okay with her leaving. That's interesting, since he's the one who has been more worried than she has been lately. So, why the sudden change? Are you sure? I mean, you have been worried just like I am. Maybe I should just stay home just in case there is an emergency or something. He looks at her sweetly. It's sweet that she's worried, but things have been going fine as of late with her and the pregnancy. The baby is developing quite rapidly, and Robin and the baby are both healthy. So, why is she stalling and not wanting to go out with Lily? Oh, come on, don't be so worried, everything's going to be fine. If you keep worrying, it will just stress you out more, and it will affect the baby or your health, and that's not good. Going to a spa for 2 days is nothing, it will be good for you. He tells her. They are sitting on the couch. It was the Friday before the trip, and Robin has been debating on this for the last 24 hours. She's really scared about things, but maybe he's right. Maybe going away for only 2 days will be good for her and the baby too. Alright, I guess you're right, I will go. I do need the relaxation, maybe it will be good for me and us. She says, rubbing her hand over her now rounded belly. He placed his own hand on top of hers and smiles down at his unborn baby, then back at her. Sighing, he knows that she's worried, but this spa idea is a good idea for both of them, because the more they stay cooped up inside, the more they get bored and stressed even more. It's good, but if she needs anything, he's there for her whenever she feels like he's needed. See, there you go. It will be good. If you need me, I'm here if you need to call. But, I'm glad you're going to go, Lily's going to be happy that you're going too. He says. They kiss quickly on the lips before he gets up from the couch and walks over to the coffee maker to pour himself another cup of coffee. Okay, let me go call Lily and tell her I'm going to go. Robin gets up and gets her cell phone to call Lily, and Barney now sitting at the table by the kitchen reading the morning's paper, watching as she leaves the room. The trip, it was actually good for Robin and for Lily too. But, mostly for Robin because she really was stressed out and achy all over from the pregnancy. They go on the trip the next day. Surprisingly, Robin didn't call or text Barney at all for those 2 days, she just called right before coming home. It was a very good time, just having a nice time with Lily and relaxing from all the stress she's been having for the, well, half of this year really. Barney was right, going on the trip did help and it was good for her, but she did kind of miss having Barney near her, and she was still horny wanting of her fiancé didn't go away that weekend. The minute she was back home, she jumped him. She wasn't sure if it was the right thing to do considering how cautious she had to be because of her delicate pregnancy, but she just needed to be with him at least for that time. And, even though she didn't ask the doctor if it was alright to sleep with her fiancé, she felt so much better, even more so than when she was at the spa. It really did help take all the rest of her stress and worries away. It just felt really natural and good to be with Barney again after not having sex for the last 3 months or so. I think I'm ready. Are you? Do you want to know the sex? She's sitting next to him feeling a lot better about a lot of things that had been going on with her and Barney and Ted and the baby. For the first time in months, she's finally at peace and happy. Yeah, I do want to know. He says, smiling at her. She smiles back, and the next couple of minutes were silent until they were called in to see the doctor. They waited in the room for the doctor to see them. After the pregnancy scare, Robin had been really cautious about her pregnancy, and worried a lot about it, so that's what stressed her out more before going to that spa with Lily. But, now she isn't as worried as she was and is feeling a lot like her old self again, and it feels great for once in the last few months to feel like Robin's Sherbatsky again. The doctor comes in as they waited for a few minutes, in silence. Well, hello again, Robin. The doctor says nicely with a smile as he enters the room. Hey, Doc. She replies back smiling, ready to know the sex of her baby. So, I hear you want to know what the sex is, right? The doctor asks, looking at his charts then at his patient. Yes, I would like to know. We both want to know. She tells him, looking at the doctor and then to Barney as he nods in agreement. Okay, then. Why don't you lie back? Give me a moment to get a nurse so we can set up the machines to find out the sex of your baby. Also, I want to tell you that everything seems to be okay with the baby. After your scare, we wanted to be cautious about too much stress for your state at the time, but now things seem to be good for you and the baby. The doctor says. The couple sighs in relief. We do want to ask you something, but it could wait until after the sonogram. Robin said. She knows she had already had sex, knowing that she didn't ask if it was okay, but since it didn't affect the baby at all since that day, she thinks it's okay now for them to have active sex at least once in a while. Sure, okay, now Robin, please lift your shirt so I can start this process. Again, this might be a little cold. The doctor says, as he places the wand over Robin's now almost fully formed stomach. She winces a little at the coldness of the wand but relaxes after a second. Well, Robin. Barney. Congratulations, it's a boy. And, they look at each other in that moment and smile as tears start to form in both of their eyes. We're having a boy. Baby, we're having a boy. Barney says excitedly as he kisses her hand that he was holding since they started the process of finding out what they were having. Wow, I can't believe it. She's lost with words, completely emotional over this moment. She kind of thought for a minute that it would be a girl, but it's not, it's a boy. A beautiful, handsome little Barney. A boy, who they will dress up in a suit and play ball with. As she cried, she pictured it, in that moment, that their unborn son will be the splitting image of his father. She just knows that he will look like Barney, it has to be like that. Her husband and son suited up and exploring life together. And, now she's sobbing as Barney looks at her, realizing that this is quite emotional for her. Hey, are you okay? He asks, rubbing her hand with his. She nods and says, yeah, I'm fine. I was just thinking of something. I'm fine. Wiping her tears with her hand that was not holding on to Barney's. Okay. I just can't believe it's a boy. And, Barney's eyes lit up as he pictured his life in 4 months' time, playing with his son, giving him his first suit and maybe a fake cigar and shot glass. He pictured carrying around or pushing around his son in a stroller. In that moment, he thought he couldn't imagine his life without Robin and his son. It also started to overwhelm him too. I will give you 2 minutes. The doctor said after the emotion of the moment calmed. Wait. We wanted to ask you something. Robin said as she struggled to keep her voice from cracking from all the emotional crying she's been doing. Okay. The doctor spun around just as he was about to leave the room and smiled lightly at them. We wanted to ask, is it okay to have sex again? Robin asked, knowing it would kind of be weird if Barney asked this to the doctor. They hoped that he will say it's okay because God knows even if they did have sex recently it's still a worry and it could affect the baby even if they did have sex already. Yeah, but take it slow, no stressful activities during sex or anything that overpowers your strength of your stomach. But, yeah, it's fine if you want to have sex again. And, they looked at each other cringing, wanting to laugh at the again part but let that slide as the doctor left the room. This was the last appointment they had until the 8th month of pregnancy.